Chapter 799. After he appeared, he destroyed a void fragmentation realm cultivator with a flick of his finger. He injured a human profound realm cultivator with a glance and a ghost profound realm cultivator with a punch. In just 10 breaths of time, the strength he displayed shocked all the cultivators at the scene. Be it the members of the spirit platform star like Kulong or the cultivators of Lu Zhou or the cultivators of the punishment pavilion like the beautiful lady in black dress, all of their eyes were filled with deep respect. Even the middle-aged scholar, who had the highest cultivation here, revealed an expression of extreme shock. However, there was also a hint of inexplicable meaning in his shocked expression. His name was Luo Xiao and he was a member of the Luo clan of Eastern Ocean. The Luo clan was an 8th grade force in Eastern Ocean Star region. In Eastern Ocean, the Luo clan had a pivotal position. Even those 9th grade sects that had eternal immortal venerables did not dare to underestimate the Luo clan. Firstly, it was because the clan leader of the Luo clan, Luo Shi, was the current 9th elder of the godly void pavilion. He was already a half-step into the mid-thought fragmentation realm. He had a lot of authority in the godly void pavilion. Even the eternal monsters in the pavilion had to be polite to him. Secondly, it was because there was an immortal king sleeping in the Luo clan who had been sleeping for 45 million years. Speaking of this sleeping immortal king, almost everyone in the Eastern Heaven immortal world knew about him. His name was Luo Ho. The reason why he had been sleeping for 45 million years was largely related to Sun Luo. 45 million years ago, Sun Luo caused chaos in Eastern Ocean Star region for the first time. On that day, Luo Ho fought against Sun Luo who was in the 5th Eternal Tribulation with just his cultivation base of the 3rd Eternal Tribulation. Both of them suffered heavy injuries. After that, he fell into a deep sleep. In the past, Sun Luo was naturally not as strong as he was now. However, he was still able to defeat all of the 5 Eternal Tribulations. On the other hand, Luo Ho surpassed 2 minor realms and severely injured Sun Luo. This naturally shocked countless people. With this impressive achievement, Luo Ho's name shook the entire Eastern Heaven. Even though he was in a deep sleep due to his heavy injuries, countless old monsters still respectfully addressed him as Battle King. That was why the Luo clan was also known as the Battle King Luo clan. The Luo clan was also known as the Battle King Luo clan. This was a ruthless person who could seriously injure Sun Luo. If he woke up, even the immortal king of the 5th Eternal Tribulation wouldn't dare to provoke the Luo family. The Luo clan had a secret cultivation art called War God Art. It was the technique that made Luo Ho famous. It was precisely by relying on this technique that Luo Ho was able to erupt with shocking combat strength, defeat a stronger opponent, and heavily injure Sun Luo. Very few people in the Godly Void Pavilion knew that the key to awakening War King Luo Ho was in this War God Art. Luo of his eyes and Luo his of King Thought, his eyes of his eyes, Luo Dragon, dragon with his eyes. Of Luo of the profound Luo realm cultivators Luo, he wanted to find out how high Ning Fan's aptitude in cultivating the war god's secret art was. The spirit, he of those was fan of Luo of had finally Luo of Ning Fan turned his baleful chi into a fist and forced Luo Xiao to retreat. When he saw that Luo Xiao was only lightly injured, his eyes turned cold. Without saying anything else, he brought the 2 children and was about to leave. The beautiful lady in black dress and the other cultivators of the punishment pavilion naturally did not dare to stop Ning Fan. Luo Xiao, however, swallowed the sweet blood in his throat. His body flashed and disappeared without a trace. At the next moment, he appeared in front of Ning Fan, blocking his path. Fellow Taoist, please wait. No matter what, you have to fight me today. Just as he said those words, he also threw a punch that was extremely ferocious. It drew the great force of the entire spirit platform star and hurled it at Ning Fan's face. He did not use any ability in that punch. It was just an ordinary punch, but it carried boundless power. Luo Xiao was not only a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator but also a 4th severance immortal body refinement realm body cultivator. A fourth Severance Immortal Body Refinement Realm Body Cultivator could match a peak profound realm enemy just by relying on the strength of their physical body. With the dual cultivation of magic and body, even if Luo Xiao did not use his trump card, he was already hard to find a match among mid-ghost profound realm cultivators. A fourth Severance Immortal Body Refinement Realm Body Cultivator? Huh? Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He curled the tip of his left finger and two black vortexes immediately appeared under the feet of the two little children beside him. The black vortexes flashed and teleported the two girls to Kulong's side, leaving the battlefield. Ning Fan clenched his right fist and threw a punch at Luo Xiao's fist light. This punch, however, had mobilized all the essence qi of the fourth heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. In terms of physical strength alone, Ning Fan was definitely not weaker than Luo Xiao. In fact, he was slightly stronger. The fourth heavenly layer of the Sichen realm corresponded to the fourth Severance Immortal Body Refinement realm. However, it was much stronger than the fourth Severance Immortal Body Refinement realm because the devils of the Sichen realm were all ancient devils. In terms of the Tao of body refinement, ancient devils were definitely not weaker than any immortal cultivators of the same level. Boom! The force of the collision of their fists was controlled by the two of them. The mountains and rivers did not collapse, but the entire spirit platform star began to tremble slightly due to the shockwaves from the collision of their fists. Two rays of fist light collided with each other in midair. Hidden energy waves surged. A moment later, Luo Xiao's fist light was the first to explode. As for Ning Fan's fist light, it suddenly erupted with destructive energy waves and smashed towards Luo Xiao. Boom! Another loud explosion resounded. Then, smoke and dust filled the sky. When the smoke and dust dispersed, the entire outer region of the Crescent Mountain Range had collapsed and the ground cracked. The rivers had changed their course. The Devil Swamp under Ning Fan's and the others' feet was also riddled with holes. Under Ning Fan's deliberate control, only the place where Kulong and the others were standing was not attacked. As for the place where Luo Xiao was standing just now, it had already become a gigantic heavenly pit that was 10,000 zhang deep. At this moment, Luo Xiao's entire body was dyed with blood. His robes were torn and tattered. He was sent to the bottom of the pit by Ning Fan's punch. He coughed out blood incessantly and looked extremely miserable. However, his eyes were not filled with fear or anger. Instead, they revealed a hint of joy. This senior is actually a body cultivator whose physical body is comparable to a fifth Severance Immortal Body. Lu Zhou, Kulong, and the other Void Fragmentation Realm experts looked at Ning Fan with astonishment. Fellow Taoist, you have a powerful physical body. If it wasn't for me borrowing the divine art of my clan to protect myself at the critical moment, I would have most likely been severely injured by your punch. Luo Xiao's face looked a little dispirited, but his eyes were filled with intense battle intent. He leaped up from the pit and stood in the sky. He stood in the sky and looked down at Ning Fan. His eyes were like torches. His body was filled with an indomitable battle intent that seemed to be ignited by flames. He realized that Ning Fan was a body cultivator who had an extremely strong physical body. He was very satisfied with the result of this test. One should know that the prerequisite of cultivating the war god art was to be proficient in body refinement techniques. Perhaps this person is really the person that countless generations of cultivators of my Luo clan have been waiting for. Luo Xiao's eyes turned resolute. He stood in the sky and looked down at Ning Fan and said solemnly, I have no intention to hold fellow Taoist accountable for a mere void fragmentation realm cultivator of the punishment pavilion. I also have no interest in annihilating the devils of the spirit platform star. I just want to have a battle with fellow Taoist. A battle with all my strength. This is my current goal. Fellow Taoist, do you dare to accept this Luo's challenge? Step into the sky and fight it out with me. If fellow Taoist is willing to have a battle with me, I'm willing to promise you no matter who wins or loses. From now on, this spirit platform star will be under the protection of my Luo clan, the War King. The two young devils that you care about will be under the protection of my Luo clan from now on. They won't have to worry about anything for the rest of their lives. At this moment, The battle intent in Luo Zhao's eyes seemed to have materialized. An aura that could not be ignored gradually rose around his body along with a sense of arrogance. That arrogance was the pride of a combat cultivator. His words moved Ningfan's eyes even more. This person wholeheartedly wants to fight me. His purpose isn't to annihilate the devil beasts of this star, nor is it to avenge the punishment pavilion cultivator. He seemed to have an ulterior motive, but his battle intent was upright and extremely pure. What I didn't expect is that this person is actually a cultivator of the Battle King Luo clan. Ningfan had heard some information about the Battle King Luo clan from Little Demoness. In the flowing Sandstar region, there was once an elder surnamed Luo who was at the peak crossing Truth Realm who always protected Little Demoness. That elder surnamed Luo was a member of the Battle King Luo clan. He was also one of the 480 elders of the Godly Void Pavilion. Unfortunately, he was ranked at the bottom and he did not have any authority. This person was sent by the Luo clan to protect Little Demoness. The cultivators of the Godly Void Pavilion were usually divided into two camps. One was the Void Camp while the other was the Divine Void Camp. Both the Luo clan and Little Demoness belonged to the Void Camp. Moreover, according to what Little Demoness said by chance, the Luo clan was one of the few major forces in the Void Camp that took care of Little Demoness. Ningfan was not afraid of the background of the Luo clan, nor did he care about Luo Zhao's promise. He even dared to kill the cultivators of the Punishment Pavilion. Why would he be afraid of the Luo clan? He disliked Luo Zhao's overbearing attitude and insisted on challenging him. However, considering that the Luo clan had taken care of Little Demoness, Ningfan was not willing to harm his life even though he disliked Luo Zhao. "Are you really not willing to fight me?" Luo Zhao asked again. Ningfan frowned. Finally, he made up his mind. His body leaped and flew up to the sky. He stood 10,000 zhang away from Luo Zhao and said indifferently, "If you want to fight, I will allow you to. Since you are from the Battle King Luo clan, I will naturally show mercy." What Ningfan said was not because he was conceited. Instead, he was fully confident that he could defeat Luo Zhao. Luo Zhao was considered an expert among the profound Ghost Realm cultivators in the Eastern Ocean Star region. However, he was far from being invincible among the profound Ghost Realm. As for Ningfan, he was already invincible among those below the Crossing Truth Realm. He could even put up a fight against an early Crossing Truth True Immortal. "So fellow Taoist surname is Ning, huh? You don't have to show mercy. Just go all out." Of course, I know that fellow Taoist strength is definitely not at the mid-ghost realm. However, fellow Taoist doesn't know that I, Luo Zhao, am also not an ordinary profound ghost realm cultivator. War God transformation, first transformation. Luo Zhao took a step forward. His hair, which was tied up high, suddenly scattered. His black hair suddenly turned blood red. His originally weak body suddenly became twice as tall as before. The muscles on his body began to become more robust, filled with explosive power. Behind him, the shadow of a blood-red god suddenly appeared. Tens of thousands of rays of blood-red divine light burst out from his body. The appearance of that god's shadow could not be seen. However, the moment it appeared, Luo Zhao's body refinement realm, which was originally at the 4th severance of his immortal physique, skyrocketed to the 6th severance. It was unknown what kind of secret technique Luo Zhao had used. The strength of his physical body actually increased tremendously in an instant. Blood-red scales began to grow on his body and a pair of blood-red ox horns grew on his head. At this moment, Luo Zhao's eyes were filled with an almost insane battle intent. When that overwhelming battle intent rushed towards him, even Ningfan's expression could not help but change slightly. This is a secret divine ability that can increase the realm of one's physical body. That's right. The secret technique I just used is the secret technique of my Battle King Luo clan, which is not passed down to outsiders, War God art. Just now, it was the first transformation of the War God. Now, it's the second transformation. Roar! Luo Zhao changed his hand seal. The battle intent around his body skyrocketed again. Under this surging battle intent, his mental state was almost on the verge of collapse. However, he still gritted his teeth and roared at the sky. His body grew taller again. His muscles became even more robust. His blood-red hair began to grow longer. Blue veins popped up on his face, making him look ferocious and terrifying. After using the secret technique for the second time, the realm of his physical body had skyrocketed from the sixth severance of his immortal physique to the peak of the seventh severance. At this moment, Luo Xiao could easily defeat late Ghost Profound Realm cultivators with just the strength of his physical body. Under the unity of law and body, he could even put up a fight against a peak Ghost Profound Realm cultivator. War God Dao, Battle King's Halberd. Luo Xiao let out a long roar. The blood-red light around his body suddenly condensed into a red crystal trident which he held in his hand. He took a huge step forward. Immediately, several blood-red cracks appeared in the vast sky. He let out a roar and threw the shining trident in his hand towards Ning Fan's direction. When it came towards him, it moved like a dragon, stirring up thousands of strong gales. This attack had clearly reached the might of a peak Ghost Profound Realm attack. What a great war god art! It actually allowed a body cultivator with a fourth severance immortal physique to erupt with such powerful strength. Ning Fan praised from the bottom of his heart. To body refinement cultivators, this war god art was definitely an extremely powerful secret technique. The Luo clan, the War King, really lived up to its name. However, Luo Xiao's cultivation base was still a little shallow after all. Even though he used the war god art, he was still not Ning Fan's match. In terms of magic power, Ning Fan had already reached the peak of the peak Ghost Profound Realm, which was infinitely close to the Dujin realm. To him, even though the trident was coming at him with great momentum, it was not difficult to break it. "You've lost this battle," Ning Fan said indifferently. At the moment when he said those words, he raised his hand and pointed a finger. A ray of dark golden sword light shot out from his finger. In an instant, it turned into 108,000 rays of sword light that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. The sword shadows were illusory and formed a formation. At this moment, all the cultivators on the spirit platform star held their breaths. It was because the sword chi of the memory-severing Dao sword was too sharp. It had locked the movement of the entire spirit platform star and all the circulation of spiritual chi. It was as if there were only countless illusory sword shadows left in heaven and earth. This was the only feeling Luo Xiao had. When the 108,000 rays of sword light slashed at him, the red crystal trident that Luo Xiao threw out was immediately shattered into specks of blood light. As for Luo Xiao himself, he was shaken by the aftershock of the sword light. He immediately spurted out blood and was forced to retreat. His body that was at the second transformation of the war god immediately shattered the vast sky with every step he took. Every time he took a step back, the shock in his eyes would increase by a little. "I have already used all my strength and even used the war god art. But I was actually defeated by a casual sword attack from this man. Is this man really just at the Ghost Profound Realm? The destructive power of this casual sword attack of his is almost comparable to a single attack from Senior Dujin." The shock on his face disappeared in a flash. At the next moment, it turned into a firm belief. This man's combat power is so strong that he can actually be so strong. Who else can be his match under Dujin? This man might possibly attain the legendary fourth transformation of the War God. Then he will save the War King. Under the astonished expressions of the cultivators on the ground, Ning Fan calmly kept the sword shadows that filled the sky and landed on the ground without saying a word. For the sake of the little demoness, he had already fought Luo Xiao and did not take his life. However, he did not want to have too much of a relationship with the Luo clan. Just as he was about to leave, Luo Xiao dispersed his war god transformation and hurriedly landed on the ground. He wiped off the bloodstain at the corner of his mouth and forcefully suppressed the injuries in his body. Then he cupped his fists and bowed to Ning Fan. His attitude was already extremely polite and sincere. "Fellow Taoist Ning, I have a request. Can we talk in private? To you, this is definitely something that will greatly benefit you." Chapter 800. Fellow Taoist Ning, I have a request. Can we talk in private? This is definitely a great thing for fellow Taoist. Luo Xiao spoke with sincerity. He cupped his fists and greeted Ning Fan politely. Ning Fan halted his steps and looked at Luo Xiao thoughtfully. After a while, he nodded and said, "All right, let's talk somewhere else." As soon as he finished speaking, he flew towards a short mountain not far away and stood quietly on the peak of the mountain. The mountain was originally 1,000 zhang tall. However, it was reduced to a height of 100 zhang due to the aftermath of the battle just now. Seeing that, Luo Xiao also rose into the sky and flew to the top of the short mountain. Lu Zhou, Kalong, the beautiful lady in black dress and the others were left behind. They looked at each other in dismay. All of the cultivators here had lived for hundreds of thousands of years. The change in Luo Zhao's attitude towards Ning Fan and his intention to befriend him could not be hidden from them. "Brother Ku, are we safe now?" A few void fragmentation realm devil cultivators asked. "I guess we're safe." Ku Long carefully protected the two little kids with a complicated expression. That high emissary Shin Su said that if he loses to Senior Ning, he will bring our spirit platform devil race under the protection of the Battle King Luo clan. Looking at his polite attitude towards Senior Ning, it's most likely true. In other words, our spirit platform devil race will not only have Senior Ning's secret support but also the Luo clan's protection. As for those spirit platform devil race cultivators, they are no match for us in the first place. They won't be a match for us in the future. A burly devil cultivator said with a hopeful expression. Ku Long only smiled bitterly after hearing his words. Since when did Senior Ning support the spirit platform devil race? He's obviously just supporting his two granddaughters. He doesn't even care about my life or death. As for that high emissary Luo Xiao, he only promised to protect the spirit platform star and take care of the two children. From the beginning to the end, Luo Xiao had never said anything about taking care of the spirit platform devil race. Protecting the spirit platform star and protecting the spirit platform devil race were probably two completely different meanings. That burly devil cultivator was full of hope, but it was probably just his wishful thinking. The faces of Lu Zhou and the other 4 void fragmentation realm experts were filled with worry. They were worried about the future of the spirit platform star. It was especially so for Lu Zhou. His eyes were filled with the deepest worry. After all, it was not easy for him to get the esteemed envoy's help to eliminate the devil tide. However, he did not expect that the devil race actually had the support of a powerful cultivator like Ning Fan. As for High Envoy Luo Xiao, he had completely given up on eliminating the devils in order to befriend Ning Fan. "Fellow Taoist Lu, what should we do in the future?" A few void fragmentation realm experts sighed. The strength of the cultivators of the spirit platform star was not as strong as the devil beasts in the first place. Now that the devil beasts had Ning Fan as their backer, Luo Xiao, on the other hand, had sided with Ning Fan. No matter how these people thought about it, they felt that their future as spirit platform cultivators was bleak. Perhaps the spirit platform star would be completely controlled by the demonic beasts and become a devil star where cultivators would find it hard to live. It's already a foregone conclusion that the emissary has no intention to exterminate the devil. With our cultivation, we are powerless to reverse the situation. If things don't work out, we can only give up on the spirit platform star and ask our spirit platform cultivators to move to other cultivation planets to make a living. Lu Zhou sighed. "You're talking about moving planets? How could this be? No, we definitely can't do this. The spirit platform star is my homeland. It's the burial place of my master and my friends. If I can't even protect my homeland, I'd rather die and be martyred in front of the devils than to live in this world." One of the void fragmentation realm experts with the surname Zhu said firmly. "The cost of moving planets is too great. Moreover, we might not be able to move all of our spirit platform cultivators. Among the 10 of us, I'm afraid there will be 5 or 6 of us who will have to stay on the spirit platform star. If we leave, we won't be able to move all of them. If we don't leave, we will only be hunted down and killed by the devil race. Moreover, even if we move to other cultivation planets, it will be hard for us to establish a foothold in the end." Another void fragmentation realm expert sighed. Lu Zhou stopped talking and just let out a long sigh. He had just inherited the position of the Star Lord, but he was afraid that he had already reached the end. The beautiful lady in black dress stared at Luo Zhao's disappearing figure with a tight frown and remained silent. Then she looked at the shattered mountains and rivers and the ashes left behind by the old man who was killed by Ning Fan's finger. Her heart shuddered even though it was not cold. Is Luo Zhao determined to befriend this person? I don't know if he wants to make friends with me personally or on behalf of the Luo family. In recent years, the Luo family has been recruiting second-step cultivators who are adept at fighting above their cultivation level. Almost everyone in Dongming province knows about this. From the early human profound realm to the true immortal realm, the Luo clan has never refused anyone. What is the Luo clan trying to do? The beautiful woman in the black dress was called Chen Lingfeng, and she was from a branch family of the Chen clan in Dongming province. The Chen family wasn't as powerful as the Luo family. It was only a 7th-grade force in the Eastern Ocean Galaxy, and only had an early shedding void patriarch. There was another point that the Chen family and the Luo family were completely different. The Chen family was a faction of the Shenkong camp, while the Luo family belonged to the Void camp. The patriarch ordered us to pay attention to the movements of the Luo family and report anything worth reporting to the patriarch, regardless of whether it is important or trivial. I wonder if there's any value in reporting the matter of Luo Zhao deliberately befriending cultivator Ning. Just as Chen Lingfeng was pondering, a void fragmentation realm expert of the punishment pavilion behind her asked in a secretive manner. If I may be so bold to ask, Lord Divine General, how should we deal with the murder of Gong Chao? How should we deal with the murderer? Gong Chao was the unlucky void fragmentation realm expert who was killed by Ning Fan's finger. How do you want to deal with the murderer? Chen Lingfeng asked with a cold smile. No matter what, Gong Chao is still a cultivator of my godly void pavilion. How can he be killed by an outsider? In my humble opinion, this matter should be reported to the master of the punishment pavilion and let him decide to send a true immortal realm senior to capture the murderer. Even though the murderer is not weak, he is nothing in front of my godly void pavilion. Evil must be beheaded. This life-immortal realm expert with the surname Ning cannot be left alive. The void fragmentation realm expert of the punishment pavilion said proudly. Since you want to report this matter to the pavilion master, then go ahead and do it. Chen Lingfeng said disapprovingly. Due to the chaos in the eastern heaven, countless experts of the godly void pavilion had fallen. There were 1,000 things that needed to be done. The pavilion master of the punishment pavilion was busy with his own affairs. How would he have the time to care about the death of a void fragmentation realm junior? From Chen Lingfeng's point of view, even if she reported this matter to the higher-ups, she was afraid that there would not be any response. Ning Fan was not a kind person at first glance. Chen Lingfeng did not want to become enemies with him for a void fragmentation realm junior who had nothing to do with her. Moreover, looking at Luo Zhao's current attitude, it was highly likely that he would befriend Ning Fan. Behind Luo Zhao was the Battle King Luo clan. Luo Zhao flew to the top of the short mountain and immediately took out a formation plate. He set up an isolation formation on the peak of the mountain as if he did not want anyone to eavesdrop on the conversation between him and Ning Fan. After he finished setting up the formation, Luo Zhao cupped his fists at Ning Fan and said with a smile, "The battle between me and fellow Taoist just now was actually to test you. I believe fellow Taoist has already seen through it. I can guarantee that this test doesn't have any evil intentions. Fellow Taoist can be at ease. Just tell me your purpose directly." Ning Fan said indifferently. My purpose is very simple. I only have one, and that is to hope that fellow Taoist can join my Luo clan and become a guest elder. Luo Zhao said with a smile. Join the Luo clan? Guest elder? Ning Fan's eyes flickered slightly. After a moment of silence, he shook his head and said, I'm not interested. As soon as he heard what Ning Fan said, Luo Zhao immediately clapped his hands and smiled. Fellow Taoist is indeed not an ordinary person. Ordinary people yearn to become a guest elder of my Luo clan, but they can't get it. Fellow Taoist, on the other hand, can easily get it, but you don't even care about it. Ning Fan did not answer him. He just looked at Luo Xiao quietly, waiting for him to continue. He did not believe that Luo Xiao was just trying to invite him to be a guest elder of his Luo clan after a long time of scheming. Seeing Ning Fan remain silent, Luo Xiao also stopped smiling and said with a serious expression, "Fellow Taoist, what do you think about the war god art of my Luo clan? Do you have any plans to learn this technique?" Ning Fan's eyes turned cold, but he still did not say anything. Luo Xiao narrowed his eyes and suddenly took out a ball of scarlet flames. He condensed it into a jade slip and passed it to Ning Fan. This jade slip contains part of the first form of the war god art. If fellow Taoist can comprehend something from this jade slip, you can come to my Heavenly Sea Star Luo clan and we can discuss the matter of becoming a guest elder of my Luo clan in detail. Ning Fan received the jade slip and sent his spirit sense into it. Immediately he felt a scorching heat. The scorching heat was battle intent. This jade slip was condensed from the flames of battle intent. If one did not have a firm Tao heart, it would be impossible for one to resist the battle intent of the jade slip and read the words within. One after another, divine seal characters were gradually imprinted on Ning Fan's spirit sense. All of them were the cultivation method of the war god art. However, the order of the words in this cultivation method was messed up. Not a single sentence was coherent. Thus, it could not be used for cultivation at all. Luo Xiao looked at Ning Fan meaningfully. There were two reasons why he gave this jade slip to Ning Fan. If Ning Fan did not have the talent to cultivate the war god art, he would not be able to comprehend the key points of this jade slip. Naturally, he would not be able to understand the chaotic order of the words. If Ning Fan could comprehend the key points of this jade slip, then this cultivation method would be considered as Luo Xiao's sincerity in befriending Ning Fan. Any cultivator of the Luo clan will receive this jade slip of battle intent when they are tested to see if they have the aptitude to cultivate the war god art. In the Luo clan, my aptitude in cultivating the war god art can be ranked among the top 10 in the clan. However, when I took the test and obtained the jade slip of battle intent, I also spent a whole year to comprehend the mysteries of this jade slip. I wonder how long will this cultivator with the surname Ning take to comprehend the mysteries of this jade slip. Just as Luo Xiao was thinking about it, he suddenly revealed a look of astonishment. He saw Ning Fan holding the jade slip in his hand. Suddenly, he smiled and his eyes shot out the flames of battle intent that seemed to have materialized. At the next moment, Ning Fan clenched his fist and crushed the jade slip into pieces. The pieces of the jade slip turned back into specks of scarlet flames. Those flames were also the flames of battle intent. Each of the specks of flames turned into words of fire. They were all the words in the jade slip. Ning Fan opened his mouth and directly swallowed those specks of flames into his abdomen. Then his eyes regained their clarity. At this moment, his sea of consciousness had successfully received part of the first form of the war god art. Ning Fan's eyes sparkled as he carefully read the contents of the jade slip. Every word and sentence made his comprehension of the Tao of body refinement more profound. Fellow Taoist actually saw through the mysteries of this jade slip with just a glance. I'm impressed. Luo Xiao looked at Ning Fan excitedly. Before this, he was still uncertain about how great Ning Fan's aptitude in cultivating the war god art was. At this moment, he was certain that Ning Fan's aptitude in cultivating the war god art was at least on par with the current clan leader of the Luo clan. It was because after the war king Luo Ho, only the current clan leader of the Luo clan, Luo Shi, could see through the mysteries of the jade slip with just a glance when he first obtained it. In the current Luo clan, Luo Shi was the only one who could cultivate the war god art to the third form. The test is over. Fellow Taoist Luo, you can tell me now, right? Since you've come to find me, just how many benefits can you promise me? And what do I need to do for the Luo clan? Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and said with a serious expression. The moment he received the jade slip, he understood that it was a test. The reason why he directly saw through the mysteries of the jade slip was to let Luo Xiao see his value. Only then would he have more bargaining chips in the negotiation. Ning Fan had already vaguely guessed that what Luo Xiao wanted was most likely related to cultivating the war god art. Otherwise, he would not purposely take out such a secret technique jade slip as a test. According to Ning Fan's guess, if he could fulfill the request of the Luo clan, he would most likely be able to obtain the mysterious war god art. He had already witnessed the mysteries of the war god art. To a body refinement cultivator, it was a supreme treasure. If he could get the chance to cultivate this technique, he naturally would not mind fulfilling the request of the Luo clan. However, there was still a precondition: the request of the Luo clan must not be malicious or too dangerous. Otherwise, Ning Fan would certainly not put himself in danger for a mere cultivation technique. Fellow Taoist, since you can complete the first test, it is enough to prove that you are the person I'm looking for. To be honest, my clan has encountered a difficult matter. Only cultivators who have cultivated the war god art to the 4th form can complete this task. I can't tell you what it is exactly. However, I can tell you clearly that this matter is not dangerous to you. You can rest assured about this. What fellow Taoist needs to do is to become a foreign elder of my Luo clan and cultivate the war god art with all your might. Your goal is to cultivate the 4th form of the battle art. Before that, the Luo clan will not make any request to you. Currently, there are a total of 122 foreign elders in my heavenly sea star. All of them stayed in the Luo clan to cultivate the war god art diligently because of this matter. If fellow Taoist can't cultivate the 4th form of the battle art, my clan will not hold you responsible for anything. You will still be a foreign elder of my Luo clan and a friend of mine. If fellow Taoist succeeds in cultivating the 4th form of the battle art, my Luo clan will ask fellow Taoist to complete a task. After that, fellow Taoist will be a distinguished guest of my Luo clan. If you have any request, as long as it is within our capabilities, we will do our best to fulfill your wish without any hesitation, Luo Xiao said while observing Ning Fan's expression. Unfortunately, Ning Fan's expression was as calm as still water, making him unable to see through his thoughts. Ning Fan quietly listened to Luo Xiao's words while pondering. Although Luo Xiao's words were extravagant, they were actually watertight. He did not reveal the request of the Luo clan at all. From this point, it could be seen that the request of the Luo clan was definitely not simple. They were unwilling to reveal the secrets of their clan easily. Whether the Luo clan harbored evil intentions towards him or not, Ning Fan could not come to a conclusion at the moment. However, even if the Luo clan harbored evil intentions, Ning Fan would not be afraid. If the Luo clan harbored evil intentions, Ning Fan would certainly make them regret it for the rest of their lives with his life-saving means. Of course, if the Luo clan did not have evil intentions, Ning Fan would not mind taking this opportunity to learn the secret technique of the Luo clan, the war god art. The war god art, the Luo clan. Ning Fan's eyes flickered slightly as if he was considering the pros and cons. The war god art was truly an extremely profound body-refining secret technique. Its profundity lay in the words "fight with your back to the river and defeat the strong." Only second-step cultivators could practice the war god art. However, the progress of the cultivation of the war god art was not directly related to the level of the cultivator's cultivation base. As long as one's innate talent was sufficient, even an early mortal profound realm cultivator could achieve the 4th transformation of the battle art. On the other hand, if one's innate talent was insufficient, even an immortal emperor might not be able to achieve the first 2 transformations of the battle art. The war god art emphasized on innate talent, understanding, and control of battle intent. It was whether the battle intent in one's heart was strong enough. In the eyes of the cultivators who created the war god art, the strongest battle intent in this world was not to win every battle and thirst for battle, but to not retreat in the face of death, to not be afraid of death, and to fight to the death. The more desperate a situation was, the stronger the battle intent in one's heart would be. With this battle intent, a cultivator could exert strength that was a few times stronger than his own in a desperate situation. It could be for survival, for an undying belief, for an irreconcilable hatred, or for a reason that could not be retreated. All of these could turn into the strongest battle intent. One would not be afraid of death, would not hesitate to live and would not be afraid of a strong enemy. Those who successfully cultivate this technique could use the 4 transformations battle art and borrow the flames of battle intent to exert body refinement strength that was a few times stronger than their own. That Luo Xiao was originally at the 4th severing immortal body refinement realm. However, after displaying the 2nd transformation of the war god, he could exert the strength of a peak 7th severing immortal body refinement realm expert. If Luo Xiao could cultivate the 3rd or 4th transformation, he might be able to fight against Duzhen with just his 4th severing immortal body refinement realm. I've said so much. I wonder if fellow Taoist is willing to become a foreign elder of my Luo clan and cultivate this war god art? Luo Xiao asked with an expectant look. If Ning Fan was still unwilling to accept the offer after he had said so much, then he would be greatly disappointed. After remaining silent for a while, Ning Fan finally gave Luo Xiao his answer. Through the isolation formation light, Luo Xiao could vaguely hear what Ning Fan had said. After that, Luo Xiao revealed a satisfied smile. The two of them continued to talk for a long time. It seemed like they were discussing many things. 2 hours later, Luo Xiao removed the isolation formation light and flew side by side with Ning Fan. They returned to the Devil Swamp. His expression showed that he had a pleasant conversation with Ning Fan. As soon as they landed, Luo Xiao told everyone a shocking piece of news. From today onwards, fellow Taoist Ning Fan is the new Star Lord of the Spirit Platform Star. Lu Zhou's position as the Star Lord was simply erased just like that. All of a sudden, Lu Zhou and the other Void Fragmentation Realm experts' faces turned ashen. They looked at Ning Fan and then at the Devil Race. Could it be that we have no choice but to move the star? Lu Zhou's face was filled with sorrow, but there was nothing he could do. Chen Lingfeng, on the other hand, frowned. What exactly is the meaning behind Luo Zhao's order? Chapter 801. In the end, Luo Xiao left with the Punishment Pavilion cultivators and headed to the next cultivation planet to complete the mission of becoming the Planet Lord. As for Ning Fan, he had become the Lord of the Spirit Platform Star. He had the power to decide the life and death of all one-star realm cultivators. The reason why he became the Lord of this star was Ning Fan's request. There was a reason for this, but outsiders did not know about it. Lu Zhou and the other cultivators of the Spirit Platform realm stared at Ning Fan in shock. They had never expected that Ning Fan, the great backer of the Devil Race, would become the Lord of the Spirit Platform Star. From their point of view, Luo Zhao's action of reappointing the Star Lord was equivalent to completely abandoning their lives and ignoring the Spirit Platform mystic cultivators. Many Void Fragmentation realm devils behind Kulong revealed an excited smile. The way they looked at Lu Zhou and the others was filled with bloodlust and coldness. To the Devil Race, now that Luo Xiao and the others had left, it was the best time to settle scores with Lu Zhou and the others. What do you mean by every dog has its day? This was it. Lu Zhou, your backer has left, and before he left, he even made our senior Ning the Spirit Altar Star Master. What did that mean? This is the intention of letting the demon race rule the Spirit Platform Star. This means that you Spirit Platform mystic cultivators should wash your necks and wait for death. A burly demon laughed wildly, his expression arrogant and proud. Another devilish elderly man clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. A dark blue light flashed in his eyes as he said to Lu Zhou and the others in a sinister manner. Just now, you mystic cultivators used your power to bully us and used Divine General Luo Zhao's power to force us to commit suicide. Now if this old man doesn't tear you mystic cultivators into pieces and feed them to the dogs, this old man will become a devil in vain. The few Void Fragmentation realm devil cultivators flashed and surrounded Lu Zhou and the other 4 profound cultivators. Lu Zhou and the others let out a long sigh, and all of them revealed expressions of despair. They held their magic treasures in their hands, intending to fight to the death. A battle to the death was about to unfold. Ning Fan frowned and said coldly, "Everyone stop." His voice was not loud, but the coldness in his words made all the Void Fragmentation realm experts in the area shudder. None of the devils dared to attack Lu Zhou and the others without Ning Fan's permission. All of a sudden, Lu Zhou's eyes were filled with hope. He still remembered that it was Ning Fan who spoke up to save him when he was besieged by a group of devils. After keeping his magic treasures, Lu Zhou's eyes seemed to be struggling. Suddenly, he seemed to have made up his mind. Ignoring the ferocious expressions of the group of devils, he took a step forward and cupped his fists towards Ning Fan. Mystic Cultivator Lu Zhou has a request, and I hope Star-Lord Wan Wang can grant it. What request? Ning Fan shifted his gaze slightly and asked. The enmity between the spirit platform mystic cultivators and the demon race is as deep as the ocean. We mystic cultivators are weaker than them. Even if we are killed by the demon clan, we have no resentment. I only hope that the planet master will be merciful and let the low-level mystic cultivators of this planet live after we spirit platform mystic cultivators die in battle. Let them move out of spirit platform planet and go to other cultivation planets. If that's the case, even if the 5 of us were to die here, we would be able to rest in peace. Lu Zhou's old eyes were wide open, and his gaze was resolute. He cupped his fists and bowed deeply, lowering his head in silence. His fearless aura made many Void Fragmentation Realm devils secretly admire him. Many of the members of the devil race who were led by Kulong were moved. Previously, when Luo Xiao and the others wanted to annihilate the devils, they also did not have the intention to kill the low-level devil cultivators. If Kulong and the others become enemies with the mystic cultivators, it seemed like there was no need for them to kill all the mystic cultivators of the spirit platform planet. Of course, there were naturally a few cold-blooded and bloodthirsty devils who were unwilling to let the low-level mystic cultivators of the spirit platform planet escape. The few members of the devil race did not say anything. They just stared at Lu Zhou with a cold smile. Their attitude showed that they would not let the low-level mystic cultivators of the spirit platform planet go no matter what. After killing Lu Zhou and the others, they would carry out a crazy massacre on the spirit platform planet, swearing to avenge the humiliation they had suffered in the past. In the past, the former lord of the spirit platform planet had slaughtered wantonly in the devil race just because he had a high cultivation base. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. There was no possibility of compromise. Senior Ning, Planet Master Ning, tell us how to deal with the mystic cultivators of the spirit platform planet. We will listen to you. The few members of the devil race who were good at flattering Ning Fan immediately began to flatter him. When the rest of the devil race heard Ning Fan's words, their hearts shuddered. Only then did they remember that Ning Fan was the current planet lord of the spirit platform planet. It was not up to them to decide whether to kill Lu Zhou and the others or not. If Ning Fan did not agree to kill Lu Zhou and the others and they insisted on killing Lu Zhou, it would be no different from seeking their own deaths. Among the group of devils, there were 7 of them who had besieged Lu Zhou. They had witnessed Ning Fan rescuing Lu Zhou with their own eyes. When they thought about the relationship between Ning Fan and Lu Zhou, many devil beasts broke out in cold sweat. At this moment, be it the mystic cultivators of Lu Zhou or the rest of the Void Fragmentation Realm devil race, all of their palms were sweating. All of them were looking at Ning Fan anxiously. All of them were very concerned about Ning Fan's attitude towards the battle between the mystic cultivators of the spirit platform planet and the devil race and which side he was on. Just as the group of devil beasts was feeling nervous, 2 childish voices that did not know the immensity of heaven and earth chuckled in a childish tone. When the 2 children who were not even 3 years old saw all the mystic cultivators of the devil race treating Ning Fan with reverence, they found it interesting and unknowingly laughed out loud. You 2 kids actually still have the mood to laugh. When I killed them just now, the 2 of you were so scared that your faces turned pale. Ning Fan did not care about the feelings of the group of devil cultivators. He just slowly walked towards the 2 children and squatted down. With a faint smile on his face, he scratched their noses. Seeing Ning Fan mentioning the matter of killing again, the 2 children's faces immediately turned pale with fear. They looked pitiful and tears were rolling down their cheeks. The scene where Ning Fan killed the 8 elderly cultivators with a single finger was deeply imprinted in the hearts of the 2 children. Yun Yun is scared. Yun Yun trembles when she sees a dead person. Ooh! When Big Brother killed someone, Yunyun was so scared. Stinky brother. He purposely scared Yunyun. One of the children had already started to cry. The other child choked with sobs, trying his best to hold back his tears. He said in a childish voice, "Actually, I know that Big Brother killed that bad grandpa to avenge us. However, I don't like it when Big Brother kills people. It's because the way Big Brother kills people is really scary." Other than Kalong, the group of devil cultivators had their hearts in their throats. What did they just hear? Yun, this little child, actually dared to call Ning Fan Stinky Brother? Chin, this little child, actually dared to say that Ning Fan's appearance was scary? If these words infuriated Ning Fan, the consequences would be unimaginable. Kalong, on the other hand, was not worried at all. In the past few months, he had seen with his own eyes that his children had offended Ning Fan countless times with their childish words. Ning Fan had never minded it. As expected, Ning Fan did not get angry because of the child's words. Instead, he apologized softly. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have killed people in front of you." At this moment, other than Kalong, everyone, be it the devil cultivators or the profound cultivators, was dumbfounded. They had never thought that Ning Fan, who killed without batting an eye, would actually apologize to two children. What do you guys think? Should we kill the low-grade profound cultivators of the spirit platform star or not? Suddenly, Ning Fan smiled and asked the two children. This time, everyone, including Kalong, was shocked. What was Ning Fan doing? Could it be that he was asking for the opinions of the two children? Low-grade profound cultivators of the spirit platform star? The two children wiped away their tears and tilted their heads at the same time. They did not understand the definition of a low-grade profound cultivator. Ning Fan raised his hand and pointed at the devils behind Kalong and said to the two children with a smile, "Let me ask you in another way. Your grandfather, uncles and uncles wish to kill all the living beings of the spirit platform star other than the devil race. Do you think those people should be killed? You should know that your parents also died in the hands of those people. No, let's not kill them. It's not good to kill them. It's really not good." It was rare for the two children to have the same opinion. Then, should we kill the few of them or not? They have countless lives of your devil race in their hands. Ning Fan pointed at Lu Zhou and the others and asked the two children. "He's the bad grandpa. He's the one who extracted Mother's primordial spirit." Yun suddenly pointed at one of the 5 void fragmentation realm devils and sobbed. However, after sobbing, she wiped away her tears and said with disappointment, "He's a bad person, but I don't want Big Brother to kill him, because Mother always said that it's wrong to kill people." Chin helped her younger sister to wipe her tears. Her expression was very sad. Obviously, she was thinking about her dead parents. Just like Yun, she held the same opinion. At this moment, all the void fragmentation realm devils and profound cultivators were shocked by the words of the two children. Ning Fan gently patted the heads of the two children and sighed. "You guys are right, but the rules of this world are wrong." Ning Fan stood up and said to the crowd with a calm but firm tone, "I have no intention to resolve the grudge between the devil race and profound cultivators. Whether it's the devils who kill the devils or the humans who kill the devils, it's your grudge and it has nothing to do with me. However, since I'm the lord of this star, all of you are my subordinates. I hate it the most when my subordinates kill each other. If you have the courage to bear the consequences, I won't stop you even if you annihilate the entire sect and the devil race on the spirit platform star." As soon as he finished speaking, he patted the heads of the two children again. With a flash, he had already returned to the inner area of the oblique moon mountain. Lu Zhou, Kalong, and the others were left behind with different expressions. Ning Fan's intention was very clear. If you want to kill someone, I will not stop you. However, if you happen to dislike someone killing someone, you will have to bear the consequences yourself. He wasn't biased towards anyone, because to him, everyone deserved to die, including himself. Apart from the two little boys and many other innocent people like them, Lin Sanjiu was the only one who was killed. His previous abode had already been destroyed by the fluctuation of magic techniques. Ning Fan opened up a new abode on the flying mountain and went into seclusion there. The smiling faces of the two children were still replaying in front of his eyes. In that smile, there was innocence, kindness, and many other expressions that were incompatible with the cultivation world. I finally understand a little about immortal sovereign Zido's feelings of slaughtering the myriad worlds and subduing all living beings. However, I am far from having that kind of strength to pacify a region or a world. Even on this small spirit platform star, I can't do it. One day, I will use my own cultivation to exchange for the lives of all living beings without having to cultivate, kill, live in fear and wander from place to place. The reason why I am like this is not because I am merciful, but because there are too many people that I care about among those living beings. I don't want them to be like me, unable to get rid of the shadows of blades behind them and unable to see the rivers of blood in front of them. Ning Fan went into seclusion for a day and a night in the abode. During this seclusion, he thought a lot and calmed down a lot. His motive of cultivation was no longer for revenge but for something else. His heart was unprecedentedly calm, as if it was empty and untainted by a speck of dust. All of a sudden, Ning Fan recalled the old devil's reminder. The old devil had once told him to bask in the sun more to help eliminate the heart devil. I finally understand Master's intentions. He wasn't telling me to bask in the sun. He clearly wanted to tell me that even if I have to tread on a sea of blood, I must sweep away the haze in my heart. Otherwise, I will really become a murderous devil with a dark mood. I will no longer have a trace of humanity and happiness. Ning Fan walked out of the abode and climbed to the top of the flying mountain step by step. At this moment, it was the end of the night and the morning sun had just risen. As far as the eye could see, yin and yang alternated and purple qi came from the east. Basking in the sun and the morning sun, if one's heart was enlightened, why couldn't the morning sun shine on them? Ning Fan stood on the top of the flying mountain. The place was sparsely planted with tall parasol trees. There was only one tree every 10 steps. It was autumn now and it was chilly in the morning. As the morning breeze blew, a few parasol leaves with cold dew fell. There was a thick layer of fallen leaves on the ground. Obviously, they had fallen with the wind last night. Those fallen leaves were bleak and lonely. But in this loneliness, there was a special Tao essence. Ning Fan's eyes gradually became blank as he looked at the fallen leaves. At this moment, when he looked at the fallen leaves, he felt that these fallen leaves were the cultivators in the cultivation world. When the time comes, the leaves have no choice but to fall and die. When spring comes tomorrow, countless fallen leaves will step on this path one after another. It was the same for cultivators. Leaves fall with autumn and cultivators die with the Tao. The Tao dictates that cultivators die and cultivators have no choice but to die. The autumn dictates that leaves die and leaves have no choice but to die. We cultivators live like summer flowers and die like autumn leaves. The life of a fallen leaf is the life of a cultivator. And the life of a cultivator is just like the withered tree in the west wind last night. My life's wish is to sweep away all the autumn leaves in the world. From now on, there will be no cultivators in this world. I will climb tall buildings alone and gaze at the ends of the world. An indescribable Tao essence gradually rose around Ning Fan's body. He closed his eyes. His mind seemed to be roaming in the void of the entire Eastern Ocean star region. His heart became calmer and calmer as all the impurities in his cultivation were removed. His body seemed to have turned into the great Tao. At this moment, he seemed to be able to sense the aura of the great Tao coming from the 180,000 cultivation planets in the entire Eastern Ocean star region. The aura of the Tao essence coming from the bodies of the mortals and cultivators came from extremely far away. At this moment, both the Divine Void Emperor and the Divine Void Emperor who were in seclusion to heal their injuries suddenly broke out of their seclusion and looked at the sky in disbelief. At this moment, a few ancient old monsters in the heavenly prison rushed out of their cave dwellings and looked at the sky in shock. This is the first level of the unity of heaven and man. On the long stairs outside the Divine Void Star, a blind old man who was dressed like a nascent soul realm disciple and was cleaning the stairs in the morning suddenly had a change of expression. Without any hesitation, The old man spread out his vast spirit sense in an attempt to capture the person who triggered the flowing aura of the great Tao. However, he could not capture the person accurately. The great Tao flowed. It had always existed without leaving any traces. After a long time, the old man withdrew his spirit sense and said in a deep voice, "I didn't expect that there would actually be a second person in the Eastern Ocean who could enter the unity of heaven and man state other than me. This person's chi is very unfamiliar. He's definitely not a great expert of the godly void pavilion. Moreover, this chi is a little too young. Who could this person be?" At this moment, Ning Fan was stepping on the thick fallen leaves of the Falai Peak. His eyes were tightly shut and his mind was clear. At this moment, he only felt that his mind was sharp. The questions that he could not figure out in the past could be answered with just a little thought. He had fallen into a strange state. He had experienced this state several times and it was extremely familiar to him. This was the strange state of the unity of heaven and man state. Ning Fan abruptly opened his eyes. His expression was extremely shocked. This time, the unity of heaven and man state was completely different from the past. When he opened his eyes, it was as if he could see that the boundless void was filled with countless lines that intertwined with each other. Those lines were the lines of the Tao Law. Chapter 802. It was not that Ning Fan had never entered the state of being one with the heaven and man. It was just that there were too many coincidental factors in each of his attempts. However, the state he was in this time was different from the past. Even though it could help him improve his Tao comprehension, it was not as much as before. On the other hand, this state also brought him benefits that he could not obtain in the past. Ning Fan did not know that his state of being one with the heaven and man this time had shocked many ancient monsters in the Eastern Sea Star region. He closed his eyes once again, letting the mountain breeze on the flying mountain peak ruffle his black hair. However, at a certain moment, his aura suddenly changed. The mountain breeze in this place suddenly became still. The yellow leaves falling from the parasol trees in the surroundings also stopped in midair. Ning Fan's body was as still as dead air. His mind had also sunk into this strange state where he was as calm as still water. Gradually, the sound of the wind no longer reached his ears. He could no longer smell the scent of the fallen leaves in his nose and he could no longer feel the softness of the fallen leaves under his feet. Gradually, circles of great Tao ripples spread out from his body. They were very light and faint, like water without a trace. Traces of green qi spread out from Ning Fan's body, turning into thin mist and drifting on the summit of the flying mountain. It was as if a huge door was opening in front of Ning Fan bit by bit. Ning Fan's senses towards the outside world became sharper and sharper. He could clearly sense that there were thousands of traces of Tao Qi gathering from all directions in the vast sky. They were the traces of Tao Qi that flowed from the bodies of thousands of mortals and cultivators in the Eastern Sea Star region. At this moment, all of the Tao Qi flowed towards Ning Fan without leaving any trace behind, just like how rivers run into the sea. The oneness of heaven and man this time is completely different from the past. The previous oneness of heaven and man would elevate my perception of Tao to an extremely terrifying level. This time, the oneness of heaven and man focuses on enhancing my perception. My heart can sense the Tao Qi of all living beings within a certain range. My eyes can vaguely see the intertwining laws of heaven and earth. My body seems to have merged with heaven and earth and become one with it. This kind of feeling is different from spirit sense, medicine soul, and the five senses. This is a special kind of feeling that exists towards the great Tao. These Tao Qi had different strengths and origins. However, all of them had the effect of cleansing one's Tao heart. Ning Fan's mind became clearer and clearer. The ripples of Tao on his body became fainter and fainter. The green qi emanating from his body also became fainter. Gradually, the ripples of the Tao faded away, and the green qi of the Tao disappeared as well. The wind resumed its flow, and the fallen leaves fell to the ground. The flow of the qi of the way in all directions also stopped, and everything returned to how it was before. Ning Fan still did not open his eyes. He was immersed in his state of mind, unable to extricate himself. At this moment, the world in Ning Fan's mind was a world with a black sky and a white sea. This black and white was his path of obsession. Under the black sky, above the white sea, a tall platform made of green bricks gradually appeared. On the platform, there were 3 giant doors, all of which were glowing with a green light. Ning Fan stood on the high platform for a long time, looking at the 3 massive doors with a pair of clear eyes. At this moment, the first giant door had already opened a slit, and green gas continuously flowed out from it. The second and third giant gates were still tightly shut, with no possibility of opening them. At the moment when Ning Fan entered the state of being one with heaven and man, he looked at the 3 massive doors and suddenly had a hint of enlightenment. He tried to push the last 2 giant doors, but they did not budge at all. After remaining silent for a while, he walked to the front of the first giant door. With just a push, the giant door opened bit by bit. More and more green gas flowed out from the giant door, filling the world with the black sky and white sea. At the moment when the first giant door was completely opened, Ning Fan felt that his perception towards the Tao had become a few times sharper than before. On the other hand, his comprehension towards Tao arts had obtained an obvious increase once more. These 3 giant doors seemed to be born from the state of being one with heaven and man. Every time a giant door is opened, it seems like it can bring the state of being one with heaven and man to a whole new realm. The state of being one with heaven and man is an opportunity that cultivators can only encounter but not seek for. Even though I have entered this realm many times by chance, I still have very little information about this realm. All of a sudden, the world in his mind trembled violently. The 3 giant doors and the tall platform gradually turned into a faint shadow and disappeared just like that. At the same time, all the green chi that flowed out from the giant doors in the world of his mind flowed into Ning Fan's body. On the summit of the Feilai Peak, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. There was a faint flash of green chi in his eyes. He raised his head. The countless laws that intertwined between heaven and earth became clearer and clearer in front of his eyes. When he calmed himself down, he felt like he could hear the breathing sounds of all living beings, from extremely close to him to extremely far away. From a mortal to an immortal cultivator, he raised his hand, trying to grasp the power of law that flowed between heaven and earth. Unfortunately, he could only see the power of law, but he could not touch it. All of this was not because his comprehension was not good enough, but because his cultivation base was not strong enough to extract the power of law from heaven and earth. I can see it, but I can't touch it. Ning Fan muttered. The law of Tao techniques existed in every corner of the world. However, it was untraceable and not something that ordinary people could see. Normally, only a few cultivators with innate law eyes could see the existence of the law of Tao techniques other than some cultivators who had lived for eternity. He could see the law, but he could not touch it. Even so, he had achieved something that countless true immortals could not do. It was enough for him to be proud of himself. When I saw the massacre of the cultivators on the spirit platform star, I was inspired by the Tao. When I saw the fallen leaves returning to their roots, I was inspired by the heavens. I didn't expect that this kind of feeling would actually become the opportunity for me to enter the state of being one with heaven and man. It's not easy for me to enter the state of being one with heaven and man. If I don't take this opportunity to sort out the Tao insights that I have gained during this period of time, it would be a waste. Ning Fan calmed himself down and recalled the various Tao insights that he had gained after entering the quicksand star region. He raised his hand and an extremely mysterious power gradually emerged from his body. At the moment when this power spread, all the plants in the area began to decay and the few giant rocks that stood tall in the area began to corrode rapidly. This power was the Tao power of time that Ning Fan had comprehended in the quicksand star region. Even though the improvement of his comprehension after entering the state of being one with heaven and man this time was not as good as before, it was still not something that could be ignored. With a thought in his mind, the purplish-golden sand immediately flowed in his hand. Just now, he had used this wind mist technique to save the 2 little children and kill the old man with the 8 broken bones. When Ning Fan first comprehended this technique, he used an insignificant amount of samsara comprehension to activate it. Due to the fact that Ning Fan's understanding of samsara was too shallow, this technique could not be of much use to him. Today, however, Ning Fan had switched to using the power of time to activate this technique. The power of time was the power of time, a part of the power of samsara. He could still activate this technique with the power of time. Moreover, after switching to the power of time, Ning Fan had complete control over this technique. Thus, the power of this technique was naturally incomparable to the past. Killing the 8 old men with a single finger and turning them into ashes in an instant was the embodiment of the power of this technique. There were still many flaws in this technique. These flaws were reflected in 2 aspects. Firstly, Ning Fan's understanding of the Tao of time was naturally far higher than his understanding of samsara. However, fundamentally speaking, he was not very proficient in the Tao of time. Thus, the power of this technique was still limited. Secondly, the essence of this wind mist technique was to return everything to ashes and dust to dust. This was the Tao of immortal sovereign Zido. It was not exactly compatible with Ning Fan. There was no such thing as the strongest ability in the world. There was only the ability that was most suitable for oneself. This was something that Ning Fan had understood a long time ago. In the past, when he was still at the soul formation stage, he stumbled upon the great Tao of nothingness by chance. Using this opportunity, he modified the wind mist art and integrated the power of the memory intent realm into it, creating the wind snow art. Wind mist, wind snow. Even though it was just a difference of a single word, the Tao insights contained within them were completely different. One was to abandon the past, to give up everything. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, let everything scatter with the wind. The other one was unwilling to let go of the past. She would rather seal her reincarnation in ice than let go of her old dreams. The wind mist technique was not the most suitable technique for him. The wind snow technique wasn't completely compatible with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have abandoned this technique for so many years. Ning Fan was not a person who was fixated on the past. Even though he would not give up on the past, he would not immerse himself in his memories all day long. The intent of memory was a power he once possessed, but it was not his true Tao. His Tao was stubbornness. It was too stubborn and too persistent. He was no longer the young man who cultivated painstakingly for the sake of revenge in the past. His mood was different from the past. Now that I'm in the state of the unity of heaven and man, this is the best opportunity. With my current Tao of time, I should be able to create a new ability after modifying the wind mist art and wind snow art. It will carry the essence of the 2 techniques, but it will be different from them. While Ning Fan was muttering to himself, he was looking at the yellow leaves that kept falling in the mountain breeze. The fallen leaves floated to his shoulders lightly. When the autumn wind brushed against his face, it carried an indescribable sense of desolation and loneliness. The same wind could bring different feelings to people in different seasons like spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It was the same type of wind. However, if the Tao senses that were integrated into it were different, it would evolve into thousands of different abilities. Ning Fan's eyes moved slightly as if he had captured something. However, he could not penetrate through that layer of paper. He did not say much and let the sun rise and the moon fall. He stood on the flying mountain for 3 days while bathing in the autumn wind and looking at the falling leaves. He was trying to integrate his current Tao sense into the sound of the wind to create a new ability. Of course, this process was not easy to achieve. More haste, less speed. However, what puzzled Ning Fan was that his state of the unity of heaven and man had yet to disappear even after 3 days had passed. One should know that the time he spent in the state of the unity of heaven and man was extremely short. It's been 3 days. The state of the unity of heaven and man has yet to disappear. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of brilliance. In the next second, it disappeared and he continued to comprehend his abilities on the flying mountain. The sun and the moon changed. In the blink of an eye, a whole month had passed. The trees on the summit of the flying mountain were almost all barren. The yellow leaves had all fallen to the ground. The state of the unity of heaven and man had yet to disappear. At this moment, Ning Fan was deeply aware that once he entered the state of the unity of heaven and man, It was as if it would never disappear again. The state of the unity of heaven and man has yet to disappear. Could it be that all of this is related to the first giant door that I opened previously? Instead of saying that I have entered the state of the unity of heaven and man, it would be more accurate to say that after I opened the giant door, I devoured an endless amount of green qi, which greatly increased my Tao comprehension and sharpened my perception towards the law of Tao. After Ning Fan figured it out, his heart was naturally filled with astonishment. The state of the unity of heaven and man was a great opportunity that cultivators could only encounter but not seek for. To Ning Fan, being able to open the first giant door and maintain this state for eternity was naturally unimaginable benefits. As a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator, he could see the law of Tao that only ancient monsters could see. As a low-level life immortal realm cultivator, he had the capital to create his own immortal techniques and abilities, allowing him to do things that many true immortals could not. All of this was because he had opened the first giant door forever and entered the state of the unity of heaven and man that would never disappear. What Ning Fan did not know was that the unity of heaven and man was a great opportunity. It was a gift that could be triggered by any cultivator. However, it was also a type of divine ability that could be cultivated in 3 great realms. There was no specific magic art for the cultivation of the unity of heaven and man. It could only be cultivated bit by bit as the cultivator's Tao comprehension improved. When the cultivator's understanding of the great Tao was deep enough, the door of the heavenly being would automatically appear and wait for the cultivator to open it one by one. The cultivation of divine abilities and magic arts could be gradually comprehended. However, the cultivation of the unity of heaven and man could only be achieved through sudden enlightenment. Ning Fan did not know that when he was feeling the falling leaves fluttering in the wind, he had already opened a small gap in the first door of the heavenly being. Everything that happened after that was just like pushing the boat along with the current. Currently, Ning Fan was still unclear about all of these. He had already decided that after this matter is over, he must collect all the information about the unity of heaven and man and thoroughly understand all the information about it. At this moment, after confirming that the state of the heavenly being would not disappear, his mood to comprehend the divine ability was less anxious than it was in the beginning. Instead, it was calmer. Previously, he was still worried that the state of the heavenly being would disappear without him knowing. He was not sure if he could create a new divine ability under the blessing of this state. Now, however, he no longer had that worry in his heart. He no longer cared about the passing of time. Another month had passed since he stood on the flying arrival peak. The west wind blew past, rolling up the withered leaves under Ning Fan's feet and making them spin slightly on the ground. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes suddenly lit up. Faint purplish-golden light shone around his body. As for the peak of the flying arrival peak, a purplish-golden sandstorm suddenly blew up. The sandstorm only lasted for a few breaths before it quietly disappeared. As for the faint light around Ning Fan's body, it turned dark golden. Black snow suddenly fell from the peak of the flying arrival peak. This black snow carried the determination to freeze the samsara of ice. The snowstorm only lasted for a few breaths before it disappeared again. At this moment, Ning Fan's body no longer had any faint light flowing around it. However, he gave off an aura that was as old as the Tao. There was loneliness in that aura. It was as lonely as autumn. There was also a sense of desolation like the wind. At this moment, millions of black fallen leaves suddenly appeared in the clear sky, covering the entire sky and the sun. Suddenly, the autumn wind blew. This autumn wind carried a faint white light. In just an instant, it blew across the entire inner area of the slanting moon mountain. Then, tens of thousands of leaves fell from the sky. At this moment, all the living beings and beasts in the inner area of the slanting moon mountain revealed a look of fear. Be it the plants or living beings, all of their physical bodies turned deathly still at this moment. Their faces turned old and their life force dissipated. They were like the withered leaves in the autumn wind. There was nothing they could do to reverse the situation. At this moment, Lu Zhou and Kalong were standing side by side at the foot of the flying arrival peak. Under the autumn wind and the endless falling leaves, both of their expressions changed drastically. Their hearts shuddered in fear. The reason why they came to this place together was because during the 2 months when Ning Fan was comprehending his divine ability, the two of them had discussed several times and made a decision regarding the future of the profound cultivators of the spirit platform star and the devil race. Ning Fan's order was absolute. He would not allow the cultivators of the spirit platform star to kill each other. No matter how courageous Kelong and Lu Zhou were, they would not dare to lead the experts of both sides to continue fighting each other. After a round of discussion, the devil race and the profound cultivators of the spirit platform star finally came to a decision. Both sides agreed to put aside their old grudges and truce for 10,000 years. If Ning Fan was no longer the lord of the spirit platform star after 10,000 years, whether or not they would continue to be enemies would be another matter. If Ning Fan was still the lord of the spirit platform star after 10,000 years, both sides would not dare to kill each other no matter what, as it would anger Ning Fan. Originally, they wanted to inform Ning Fan of their decision. However, it just so happened that Ning Fan was comprehending his divine ability. The two of them arrived at the foot of the flying arrival peak. However, they did not dare to go up the mountain and disturb Ning Fan's comprehension. Instead, they only dared to wait at the foot of the mountain. They did not expect that the two of them would also be affected by Ning Fan's newly created divine ability. At this moment, Lu Zhou and Kelong raised their heads at the same time. When they saw the strange scene of the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves in the inner area of the slanting moon mountain, their expressions changed drastically. At this moment, they had an illusion that they had turned into one of the fallen leaves that filled the sky and were about to turn into ashes when the autumn wind blows past them. It was as if the entire inner area of the slanting moon mountain was under the control of Ning Fan's Dao sense. In this inner area of the slanting moon mountain, Ning Fan seemed to have become the master of the great Dao. If he wants people to live, they will live. If he wants them to die, they will die. If he wants them to turn into fallen leaves and disappear, they will perish together with the fallen leaves that fill the sky. What level of divine ability is this exactly? Under such a divine ability, even a second-step life immortal realm expert would probably die instantly, let alone a void fragmentation realm expert like us. Let's go. Both of their expressions changed. Without any hesitation, they wanted to escape from the inner area of the slanting moon mountain. At this moment, the vast sky above the myriad leaves Xiaoxiao Mountain suddenly changed. At this moment, the autumn wind suddenly howled like a dragon. At this moment, the thousands of leaves in the sky turned into ashes and dissipated. Ning Fan muttered to himself softly. His voice was very soft, but it spread across the entire inner area of the slanting moon mountain in an instant. It even spread across the entire spirit platform star. The west wind is like the Tao. Cultivators die like leaves. In my eyes, all living beings are like leaves. When the wind blows, the leaves will be extinguished. At the moment when his voice resounded, a desolate and chilly autumn wind suddenly blew across the entire spirit platform star. The physical bodies of all the cultivators and mortals in the entire spirit platform star began to show signs of fading away. It was as if they would lose all of their life force in the next moment. They would wither and rot like the autumn leaves, dying in this chilly autumn wind and turning into ashes and dissipating in the wind. The higher a cultivator's cultivation base was, the faster their physical bodies would perish under the influence of this divine ability. Even their immortal veins, gold core, nascent soul and primordial spirit seemed to be eroded by this divine ability. A sense of shock and despair immediately filled Lu Zhou and Kelong's hearts. The entire spirit platform star was within the attack range of Ning Fan's new technique. The two of them had no way to escape at all. They could not avoid the autumn wind that was blowing across the entire star. Could it be that the two of us and all the living beings on the spirit platform star are going to lose our lives for no reason because of Senior Ning's divine ability? There was also a black-robed old man who was hiding in the spirit platform star. His eyes, which were originally filled with devil chi, were now filled with extreme shock. He was the person with the highest cultivation base on this star. He was an early true crossing realm cultivator who was sent by the Chun clan of the eastern country to assassinate Ning Fan. He had been lurking in the inner area of the slanting moon mountain for several days. Because when Ning Fan was comprehending his divine ability, he had always maintained a certain level of vigilance and did not dare to act recklessly. Originally, he wanted to kill Ning Fan with a single strike when he was the most relaxed. However, he did not expect that he would be affected by Ning Fan's latest divine ability for no reason. He was the person with the highest cultivation base on this star. Therefore, the moment the power of this technique was fully displayed, his physical body already showed signs of being eroded. One of his arms directly turned dry and decayed. Cracks appeared on it and it slowly turned into mud. What kind of divine ability is this? How can it have such power? This technique is definitely not something I can withstand. Is this young man really just at the mid-ghost profound realm? I can't stay on this star for long. I can't kill this Ning Fan. I must leave this star immediately. The expression of the black-robed old man changed. His body flashed and he wanted to escape from this place. Ning Fan, who was displaying his divine ability on the peak of the flying arrival mountain, had a cold look in his eyes. Killing intent secretly rose. He had long noticed old man Du Zhen, who had been hiding in this place for several days. After achieving the state of the union of heaven and man, Ning Fan could clearly sense the existence of an extremely strong qi in this place. Even though this person had been concealing himself and did not reveal any killing intent. Don't you think it's a little too late for you to leave now? Get down here right now. Ning Fan suddenly shouted. Countless ripples of Tao Law immediately spread out from his body. The autumn wind that swept across the entire spirit platform star suddenly stopped and swept towards the black-robed old man ferociously, ignoring all living beings on the star. The black-robed old man's face was filled with shock. Obviously, he did not expect that Ning Fan had already seen through his concealment. Tens of thousands of leaves kept appearing in the vast sky. There were also leaves that turned into ashes and drifted away. If there was another person who could see the law in this place, he or she would notice that after Ning Fan's shout, the densely intertwined lines of law in this place actually shifted slightly. Usually, only mid-thought fragmentation realm old monsters could activate such a change. After being shouted at by Ning Fan, the black-robed old man felt pain all over his body for no reason. It was as if he was being squeezed by the heavens and earth. He suddenly coughed out blood and broke free from his concealment state. Then, he fell from the sky with an extremely shocked expression. Word execution law. This is a divine ability that only mid-thought fragmentation realm experts can comprehend. How can this person who is just a ghost profound realm display it? As soon as he said those words, he became even more shocked. It was because the remnant shadows of the tens of thousands of leaves had already spread across the vast sky, blocking all of his escape routes. At this moment, the murderous intent of autumn rolled over in waves, toppling mountains and overturning seas. Under this murderous intent, there were almost no early truth-crossing realm cultivators who could protect themselves steadily. I must block this attack. Otherwise, I will definitely die. The black-robed old man gritted his teeth with a pained expression. He took out a jade slip from his bosom and suddenly turned around to face Ning Fan. Then he crushed the jade slip. It was a life-saving jade slip that was given to him by the clan leader of the Qin family. He did not expect that he would actually use it to deal with a mid-ghost profound realm kid. Since I have even used my life-saving jade slip, there is no reason for me to return empty-handed today. No matter what, I must kill you. Chapter 803. Since I've even used my life-saving jade slip, there's no reason for me to return empty-handed today. No matter what, I will kill you here. As soon as he finished speaking, the black-robed old man crushed the jade slip. Immediately, rolling black mist gushed out of the jade slip and entered his body. As soon as the devil chi entered his body, his severed arm regenerated at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the next moment, the devil chi inside his body erupted violently. He let out a wild roar and his body turned into a 100,000 zhang tall giant with the head of an ox, standing in the air amidst the monstrous devil chi and autumn leaves. The ox giant was wearing devil armor. His body was covered with pitch-black devil marks and talismans. Under the activation of the countless devil marks and talismans, the ox giant's body continuously emitted an extremely powerful force. That force was different from magic power. It was actually the essence chi that only the ancient devil clan possessed. However, compared to the real essence chi that Ning Fan possessed, this essence chi seemed extremely different. Essence chi. Even though it looks similar, it's too heterogeneous and not pure enough. So this is the pseudo-ancient devil cultivator above the four heavens? If that's the case, the talismans on this devil's body are the pseudo-devil talismans. Compared to my ancestral devil talismans, they are indeed much weaker. Ning Fan muttered to himself. The black-robed old man was a pseudo-ancient devil cultivator. He cultivated the pseudo-devil talismans and pseudo-essence chi. However, he walked the path of cultivation of the ancient devil race. With the help of the jade slip, the black-robed old man's essence chi skyrocketed. At this moment, the ox-headed devil body that he had transformed into was so strong that it could defend against any divine ability attack from an early-stage true crossing realm expert without suffering any damage. At this moment, the ox giant's eyes were filled with strong confidence. He had already used his life-saving jade slip and activated his ox devil body. He could even fight against a mid-true crossing realm expert. He did not believe that Ning Fan could kill him. A wave of greed suddenly appeared in the ox giant's eyes and turned into intense killing intent. He made a grabbing motion with his hand, and an endless amount of essence chi condensed into a demonic axe in his hand. His eyes shone with ferocity as he swung the axe towards the endless leaves in front of him. His strength was shocking, and with just a single swing of the axe, a hideous crack appeared in the sky, and even the countless leaves scattered with a single blow. Then he swung his axe at Ning Fan's direction with all his might. In an instant, he had already swung his axe 12 times. After these axe lights appeared, they disappeared in an instant. At the next moment, 12 cracks suddenly appeared in the heaven and earth around Ning Fan. From each of the cracks, a ray of axe light that was enough to severely injure an ordinary Duzhen shot out and approached him. As long as I kill this person, the patriarch will definitely reward me handsomely. It's not impossible for him to give me an even more powerful divine ability jade slip. This child must die. The bull-headed giant's devilish laughter soared to the sky. His powerful ancient devil aura shocked all the demonic beasts of the spirit platform star. Ku Long and Lu Zhou's expressions changed drastically. They quickly retreated from the inner battlefield while looking in the direction of the flying peak with worried expressions. With their insignificant cultivation base, they naturally could not see through the black-robed old man's cultivation base. However, they could feel the ferocity of the 12 rays of axe light. They contained undisguised Dao power. This person is definitely a true immortal realm expert. He is an existence that is completely different from a life-immortal realm expert like Senior Ning. When did this person come to our spirit platform star? And why did he attack Senior Ning? Can Senior Ning escape this calamity? Both of their eyes were filled with worry for Ning Fan. It was as if there were only the 12 cracks of heaven and earth and the 12 rays of terrifying axe light left in the entire world. Ning Fan stood on the flying peak. Facing the countless rays of axe light, he did not put up any defense. He just lifted his finger slightly and countless shadows of leaves appeared in heaven and earth once again. Once again, the autumn wind blew. This time, all the white rays of the autumn wind disappeared while the fallen leaves in the sky became even darker. The wind was Ning Fan's Dao sense. The leaves were Ning Fan's devil intent. The combination of Dao and devil was obsession. When the Dao rises, the devil disappears. The wind rises and the leaves disappear. This technique was different from the wind mist technique and the wind snow technique. At this moment, it was the divine ability that was most compatible with his Dao sense. All of a sudden, heaven and earth lost all sounds. Even the sharp sounds of the axe light piercing through the air disappeared, leaving only the sound of the wind. Tens of thousands of leaves were born and extinguished in the vast sky. The west wind carried the ashes of the fallen leaves and swept towards the 12 rays of axe light. Each of the 12 rays of axe light was powerful enough to severely injure an ordinary Dujin. When the 12 rays of axe light fused into one, Ning Fan might not be able to defend himself even if he used all of his 3 flowers converging crown's defense. However, as the west wind blew, the 12 rays of axe light seemed to have suffered a great impact. That impact originated from the great Tao itself. In the west wind, the Tao power contained in the 12 rays of axe light was completely extinguished. Then, the axe light exploded into countless light spots in the vast sky with a series of banging sounds and disappeared, stirring up a strong gust of wind. Ning Fan's jet-black hair danced wildly in the wind. His eyes were so cold that it made people shudder. That coldness was the terrifying baleful chi that was left behind after he slashed the void-rending technique and the broken thought technique. The bull-headed giant stared at Ning Fan with extreme shock. The moment his eyes met Ning Fan's, the baleful chi had already invaded his body, causing the circulation of his essence chi to be disrupted. What shocked him even more was that the destructive power of Ning Fan's sweeping fallen leaf style was actually beyond his estimation. "You want to kill me? It's impossible for me to let you go. I see you as a leaf and my Tao as the west wind. When the wind blows, the leaves will be extinguished." As Ning Fan spoke, countless fallen leaves and endless autumn wind appeared in heaven and earth. This kind of ability that could change the Tao with words was still the same as before. Ning Fan stared at the bull-headed giant coldly. His eyes flashed with green light. All of a sudden, tens of thousands of pitch-black fallen leaves appeared around the bull-headed giant. As the autumn wind blew, all of the fallen leaves turned into ashes and dissipated. The bull-headed giant's body also dissipated along with the fallen leaves. His axe, his flesh and blood all vanished in an instant, turning into sizzling devil chi and dissipating. All that was left was a gigantic skeleton that was 100,000 zhang in size. He did not even have the time to show a shocked expression before his eyes turned into ashes. His primordial spirit did not even have the time to escape before it felt an irresistible force invading his body and mind. His soul and Tao sense were completely wiped out, turning into ashes. He wanted to say something but he could no longer say it. Thus, he buried it in his heart forever. How can there be such a terrifying, profound ghost realm expert in this world? Sure enough, the clan master was right. This young man cannot be left alive. He cannot be left to the Battle King Luo clan. However, the one who came to kill this young man shouldn't be me. After his flesh and blood turned into ashes, the gigantic skeleton that was left behind also began to dissipate into ashes. The ashes scattered across the entire inner area of the slanting moon mountain. When the autumn wind blew, all of them disappeared. Even his storage pouch was completely turned into ashes in this autumn wind. A dignified true immortal was actually killed by Senior Ning's newly created ability. Tis. A strong sense of astonishment rose in the hearts of Kulong and Lu Zhou. The hearts of many experts of the Spirit Platform Star who had discovered the battle here also rose. A mid-profound ghost realm expert had killed a true immortal. If such a shocking achievement is spread out, the entire Eastern Ocean Star region would be in an uproar. Ning Fan's name would also be valued by countless true immortal realm old monsters overnight. Unfortunately, there were no powerful beings around the Spirit Platform Star to observe the battle. The native cultivators never left this star. Perhaps not many people would know about this shocking achievement. The two of them thought that the battle had already ended. Just as they were about to head to the Flying Arrival Mountain to pay a visit to Ning Fan, they heard a reprimand before they could get close to the place. Retreat! Any cultivator who enters the inner area of the Slanting Moon Mountain without my summon will be killed without mercy. This order contained a piercingly cold killing intent. It was issued by Ning Fan. As soon as the two of them heard the order, their bodies immediately trembled. They did not dare to stay any longer and left the inner area of the Slanting Moon Mountain in a flash. The autumn wind gradually calmed down and the fallen leaves dispersed. Ning Fan stood at the peak of the flying arrival mountain. After sending Lu Zhou and Kelong away, he entered the profound Yin world without saying anything. The moment he entered the profound Yin world, his face suddenly turned as pale as a sheet of paper. He coughed out blood and fell to the ground. This technique has just been created and I have yet to fix all of its flaws. It's really a little forceful for me to use it in actual combat. It's only natural for it to suffer such a backlash. Ning Fan smiled bitterly and sat in a lotus position on the ground. Then he consumed a pill and pointed at the sky. He summoned 83,000 black stars and began to heal his injuries. The general outline of this newly created ability had already been formed. However, there were still many flaws that needed to be fixed. Especially when the destructive power of this technique was too great and Ning Fan had yet to fully master it. That was why he would hurt himself and others. That black-robed old man came with ill intentions. He had been lying low for many days. After he was exposed, he even uttered arrogant words saying that he wanted to kill Ning Fan. At first, Ning Fan wanted to capture this person's primordial spirit and search his soul and memories to find out why this person wanted to kill him. At the very least, he wanted to seize this person's storage pouch and find out his identity token from it to determine his background. Unfortunately, the destructive power of this newly created ability was too strong. It directly turned everything that this person had into ashes, leaving not a single clue behind. The only thing I know is this old man's appearance, cultivation base, and his determination to kill me. Other than that, I can't even be sure if he is a cultivator of the Eastern Sea. Moreover, one can disguise one's appearance. Before that old man killed me, he seemed to have consumed a disguising pill. Was he afraid that others would see him killing me and expose his identity? I'm afraid that it will be very difficult to find out his true identity. Thinking of this, Ning Fan could not help but frown. He had many enemies in the Eastern Sea. Among them, there were also quite a number of forces that could send out Du Zhen's assassins. However, there were probably only a few forces that knew that he was in the Eastern Sea Spirit platform. Ning Fan could not help but recall the group of cultivators from the Punishment Pavilion who came to the Spirit Platform star previously. This black-robed assassin was probably attracted by one of the cultivators from the Punishment Pavilion. Even Luo Xiao could not be excluded as a suspect. This person failed to kill me. Perhaps there will be more assassins appearing. At that time, if I can capture one of them and search his soul and memories, I will naturally know the truth. Let's put this matter aside for the time being. The power of this newly created ability has greatly exceeded my expectation. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. With just this flawed ability, he was able to kill the black-robed old man who had transformed into a bull's head with a single finger. This achievement made him very satisfied. One should know that the old man who had transformed into a bull's head was definitely not any weaker than a mid-Duzhen old monster. The power of this newly created ability was even greater than the heaven-holding seal. The west wind is like the Tao, cultivation death is like a leaf. I shall name this ability, West Wind Technique. Last night, the west wind withered the green trees. Ning Fan closed his eyes, recalling the scenes of how he used this ability to kill the black-robed old man while recuperating from his injuries. A few days later, Ning Fan's injuries were fully healed and he left the profound Yin world. On this day, he summoned Lu Zhou and Kelong. When he heard that the two of them had decided to stop the war between the devil cultivators of the Spirit Platform star for 10,000 years, he nodded his head in satisfaction. By the way, do the two of you know where I can find ancient corpses that are suitable for cultivators to possess in the Eastern Sea Star region? Is there anyone who is good at repairing second-step spiritual puppets? Ning Fan suddenly asked Lu Zhou and Kelong, ancient corpses that are suitable for cultivators to possess? Lu Zhou's eyes were slightly shocked. However, he did not dare to ask Ning Fan why he was looking for corpses. He pondered for a moment as if he was recalling something. After a while, he answered Ning Fan. There is an ancient corpse sealed on my Spirit Platform star. It was found by the previous Star Lord. It is said that it is the corpse of a human profound life immortal. It is extremely suitable for cultivators to possess. After the previous Star Lord died in battle, This corpse is still sealed in the underground palace of the Star Lord. If Senior needs it, I can immediately fetch this corpse for Senior's use. Kulong said. Junior's cultivation base is still shallow. I don't know which powerful Senior is good at repairing second-step spiritual puppets. However, I do know that there is an innate spirit lake on a high-grade cultivation planet that is closest to the spirit platform star. The water of the lake can repair all magic treasures and spiritual puppets. It is very mysterious. As soon as he finished speaking, Kulong recorded all the information about the lake into a jade slip and passed it to Ning Fan. After Ning Fan finished reading the jade slip, he did not say anything and sent the two of them away. A few hours later, Lu Zhou personally delivered an ancient coffin to Ning Fan. Inside the coffin was the corpse of a middle-aged man. Lu Zhou did not ask why Ning Fan needed this corpse. After delivering the corpse, he immediately took his leave. In the cavern dwelling on the flying mountain, Ning Fan looked at the corpse in the coffin and nodded with satisfaction. Among the devil techniques, there was a type of body-seizing devil technique that allowed the user to seize the physical body of others and use it to be reborn. To the cultivators of the body-seizing devil technique, the physical body was also divided into different grades. Some of them were suitable for body seizing and had a high success rate while some were not. The corpse in front of Ning Fan was extremely suitable for a cultivator to possess. This corpse was prepared for Shui Kongzi, who had lost his physical body. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and took out Shui Kongzi's sealed primordial spirit. Under the nourishment of countless spiritual herbs, Shui Kongzi's primordial spirit had long recovered from its injuries. However, it was still unconscious. Ning Fan had already erased part of Shui Kongzi's primordial spirit's memories. He had saved Shui Kongzi several times and gifted him a physical body to possess. He had already repaid the debt of gratitude he owed him in the past. The reason why he erased part of Shui Kongzi's memories was also to not expose any information about his relationship with Sun Luo. As Ning Fan removed the seal, Shui Kongzi's unconscious primordial spirit gradually woke up. When Shui Kongzi realized that he was not dead, he could not help but be shocked. Strange. I remember that I was captured by an extremely terrifying devil lord and my physical body was destroyed. Why am I still alive? When Shui Kongzi saw Ning Fan, his eyes could not help but widen in surprise. Fellow Taoist Ning, are you the one who saved me? Have you also escaped from the quicksand tribulation? I was lucky enough to escape and I saved you along the way. Your physical body has already been destroyed. Hence, I'll give this body to you for body seizing. You should know the body seizing cultivation technique, right? Ning Fan asked indifferently. I do. Of course I do. What a good corpse of a life immortal realm expert. This corpse was most likely a life immortal realm expert at the peak human profound realm when he was alive. If I can use this corpse to reincarnate, it will be very beneficial to me. Shui Kongzi's face was filled with joy. He immediately thanked Ning Fan. Then he asked Ning Fan about the details of how Ning Fan saved him. However, Ning Fan smiled and did not answer him. He only said, Fellow Taoist Shui, I'll give this corpse to you. You can temporarily open up a cave abode on this star and complete your body seizing. As soon as he finished speaking, he gave Shui Kongzi a storage pouch which contained some Tao crystals, pills, and magic treasures. Shui Kongzi was naturally very grateful. After learning that this place was the spirit platform star of the Eastern Ocean Star region and that Ning Fan was the Star Lord of this star, he pondered for a while and said, I, Shui Kongzi, am not a good person, but I also know the principle of repaying kindness. Fellow Taoist has saved me from certain death many times. I can't thank you enough. From today onwards, I, Shui Kongzi, am willing to stay on the spirit platform star and become one of fellow Taoist's many subordinates. I will protect this star for fellow Taoist. His attitude was firm as if he could not repay Ning Fan's kindness of saving his life many times without doing so. Ning Fan gave Shui Kongzi a deep look and nodded, agreeing to his request. In the end, Shui Kongzi opened up a cave abode at the periphery of the Crescent Mountain and began to complete his body seizing. This matter naturally shocked Kulong, Lu Zhou, and the other experts. It was hard for them to imagine that Ning Fan could summon a life-immortal realm subordinate to guard the spirit platform just by raising his hand. The reason why Ning Fan was looking for the ancient corpses was so that Xue Kongzi could possess them. The reason why he asked about repairing the puppet was because he wanted to repair the ancient devil puppet that was damaged during the tribulation of quicksand. The ancient devil puppet was a shedding void-grade spiritual puppet. It was one of Ning Fan's greatest trump cards. Ning Fan and Luo Xiao agreed to become the foreign elder of the Luo clan. When he goes to the Luo clan in the future, he would officially receive the order letter of the Luo clan's foreign elder and the subsequent war god art cultivation method. Now that he was assassinated by the black-robed old man, Ning Fan did not dare to lower his guard against the Luo clan before he could figure out the assassin's motive. He decided to repair the puppet before he goes to the Luo clan. It would be good to have an additional layer of self-protection. The jade slip that Kulong gave him recorded a lot of information about the Heavenly Eye Star. The Heavenly Eye Star was a high-grade cultivation star. There was a lake on the star called the Divine Weapon Lake. This lake was extremely mysterious. It could repair all magic treasures, Dao soldiers and spiritual puppets below the Xiantian realm. It was under the jurisdiction of the forces of the Shun Kong clan. After this matter is settled, I will go to the Heavenly Eye Star to repair the puppet. After that, I will go to the Luo clan. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly became sad. After opening the first gate of the Heavenly Being realm, he permanently entered the first realm of the unity of heaven and man. His perception towards Dao techniques had become unusually sharp. He looked at the sky of the spirit platform star. His eyes were deep and serene, piercing through the boundless void far away. It had been a long time since the chaos of Sun Luo. However, there was still a trace of Sun Luo's crazy and stubborn Dao technique Qi lingering in the Eastern Sea Star region. His stubbornness moved Ning Fan. What moved Ning Fan even more was that after Sun Luo died, he was forgotten by the woman whom he wholeheartedly saved. Sun Luo gave up everything just to save the love of his heart. In this world, there are some people who are willing to sacrifice one person for 10,000 people even if that person is the love of their heart. There are also some people who are willing to kill 10,000 people for one person. Sun Luo's choice is the latter. The life of one person or the life of 10,000 people? Which one is more important? The rise and fall of one country or the rise and fall of 10,000 countries? Which one is more important? After all, there are very few people who would kill 10,000 people for one person. However, there are plenty of people who would attack 10,000 countries for the sake of one country. To love one person while abandoning 10,000 people is selfish. To love one country while destroying 10,000 countries is regarded as righteousness and praised by others. Why is that? I don't have a perfect answer to this. I just have a vague feeling that killing one person or killing 10,000 people is wrong. But if I have to choose, if that person is the person I care about the most, perhaps I will choose Sun Luo's path. Sun Luo has brought disaster to the Eastern Heaven and killed countless people. Even Asii and I almost died in his hands. Everyone in this world should hate Sun Luo. Only the woman whom Sun Luo saved should remember his kindness the most. However, that woman has forgotten about Sun Luo. She is the only one who has forgotten about Sun Luo. Sometimes you won't get anything in return for your efforts, but you still do it despite knowing it. This is called stubbornness. Ning Fan swept away the disappointment in his eyes. There was an empty grave on the peak of the flying mountain. There was a sentence written on the tombstone. It was a consolation to the owner of the grave. The fireworks are over, you should rest in peace. This empty grave was built by Ning Fan for Sun Luo. After all, Sun Luo had brought Ning Fan a lot of benefits. He had even cured the poison of void in little Demon's body. From this point of view, it was not wrong for Ning Fan to build an empty grave for Sun Luo as a place to rest in peace. For 7 days in a row, Ning Fan would come to the grave every day to light an incense stick for Sun Luo. On the 8th day, Ning Fan left the spirit platform star in a flash of traveling light after giving some instructions to Kulong, Lu Zhou and the others. Xue Kongzi did not send him off. He was completing the process of seizing Ning Fan's body in his immortal cave. It was the crucial moment of seizing Ning Fan's body. However, when Shui Kongzi sensed that Ning Fan had left, he still stopped the process. His primordial spirit cupped his fists and bowed towards the direction where Ning Fan had left. I will never forget fellow Taoists' great kindness in this lifetime. I will repay you with my life. His attitude was resolute because even though he was not a good person, he valued the word kindness the most. Ning Fan held the star compass of the Eastern Sea Star region in his hand and flew towards the Heavenly Eye Star. This star compass was a gift from Luo Xiao. The Heavenly Eye Star was extremely far away from the Spirit Platform Star. They were almost separated by the distance of a high-grade star region. To some void fragmentation realm cultivators, they could only travel such a distance with the help of the Starry Sky Teleportation Formation. However, to a life-immortal realm cultivator like Ning Fan, this distance was nothing. Ning Fan did not use the Blood Lotus Spirit equipment to escape. Currently, he was treading on the void. Every time he took a step forward, black flames would appear beneath his feet and his body would instantly travel an immeasurable distance. Occasionally, some void fragmentation realm cultivators would pass by Ning Fan. When they noticed Ning Fan's fleeting escape technique, they were all shocked. After Ning Fan had gone far away, they finally calmed down a little. The ability that Ning Fan used was the Black Devil Escape. Almost no life-immortal realm cultivators would be able to catch up to Ning Fan if he used this escape technique. Today, however, Ning Fan had permanently activated the state of the union of heaven and man. His understanding of the Black Devil Escape had unwittingly deepened. Every time he used the Black Devil Escape, the amount of magic power consumed would decrease while the distance he could travel would increase. Under the state of the union of heaven and man, Ning Fan's understanding of the Black Devil Escape was increasing at a terrifying speed. As the sect master of the Black Devil sect, if I don't cultivate this technique to the highest level, wouldn't I be letting down my master's painstaking efforts? However, why do I have a strange feeling that the further I increase the distance of this Black Devil Escape, the closer it is to that ability? Ning Fan's eyes gradually turned solemn. At this moment, what appeared in his mind was the appearance of the sect master of the medicine sect, Wei Wuji, whenever he used the escape technique. Wei Wuji was proficient in a type of ability called ground shrinking. Ground shrinking was an extremely profound flying ability. Cultivators who are proficient in this technique could directly fly across an entire mid-grade star region with just a single step. This was a type of escape technique that only cultivators who were above the true immortal realm were qualified to master. However, there were not many true immortals who could master this technique. Hence, escaping techniques were extremely difficult to master. The old devil knew it, and so did the sect master of the medicine sect. As for the other true enlightenment realm true immortals that Ning Fan met along the way, none of them managed to cultivate this technique. Master once said that if I cultivate the Black Devil Escape to its peak, I would be qualified to cultivate ground shrinking. However, why do I have a feeling that the direction of my cultivation of the Black Devil Escape has already deviated from the scope of ground shrinking? Ning Fan's eyes became more and more solemn. As his understanding of the Black Devil Escape continued to increase, the divine blood, devil blood, and demon blood in his body began to show signs of boiling. At a certain moment, the three types of bloodlines in his body suddenly seemed to be burning. On the surface of his body, tens of thousands of rays of extremely dazzling golden light appeared. His body was gradually covered with golden flames. His magic power felt like it was going to burn out in an instant. He turned into a ray of dazzling golden light and flashed across the starry sky. In just an instant, he had almost crossed the distance of an entire high-grade star region and arrived in front of the Heavenly Eye Star. Then, he crashed into the Heavenly Eye Star ferociously. There were thousands of cultivation stars along the way. Among them, there were no lack of mid-grade cultivation stars. The golden light was too fast. It was so fast that almost none of the countless old monsters along the way could catch a glimpse of it or see what it was. The only thing they could feel was the terrifying speed of the golden light. Countless old monsters looked at the sky in shock. Could it be that an ancient monster had just flown past this place? Otherwise, Why would there be a golden light with such shocking speed? That golden light. Which ancient monster did it belong to? Countless void fragmentation realm and life immortal realm cultivators were repeatedly guessing the identity of the owner of the golden light. On the heavenly eye star, no one had sensed the arrival of Ning Fan's golden light except for a little girl in white robes who was nibbling on an 8 treasures cake. She was the first cultivator on this star who sensed Ning Fan's golden light. All of this had a lot to do with the fact that she was once the disciple of the Tribulation Immortal Emperor. Golden light of ground piercing. Who is it? He actually knows the lost ancient divine ability that only the imperial monarch knows. The little girl was astonished. She could not help but raise her head and look at the sky. She saw an extremely dazzling golden light rushing towards her. The owner of the golden light was actually Ning Fan, whom she had sent countless heavenly tribulations but failed to kill. Why? How did you? Before she could finish her words, she had already let out a cry of pain. Ning Fan's golden light had smashed her 10,000 zhang deep into the ground, creating a massive crater on the heavenly eye star. How low the probability is for him to hit me? He definitely did it on purpose. He's taking revenge on me. The little girl wanted to cry but had no tears. She wanted to push the body on top of her, but she could not move it no matter how hard she tried. Is it an ill-fated relationship? Ning Fan raised his eyebrows. Looking at the soft little girl under him, he felt the wonders of fate. How low the probability is for me to hit a scapegoat after losing control of my golden light. Moreover, this scapegoat is someone I know. Is this fate? Interesting. Interesting my ass. Get up quickly. Your thing has poked me. The heavenly Dao Dao spirit roared in anger and shame. As for the 8 treasures cake that she was nibbling on just now, it had already been squashed into a pile of dung by Ning Fan. Chapter 804. Did my thing poke you? Ning Fan looked at the little girl below him with a strange expression. His current posture of pressing her down was indeed very strange. His hands subconsciously held the little lass's pair of soft and tender wrists tightly. His breath was just an inch away from her. He could not help but blow on the little girl's red cheeks. He could even smell the faint body fragrance on her body. His body was intimately connected with the little girl's even though they were still separated by their clothes. He moved his body subconsciously as if he had poked some soft spot. Shameless! The little girl screamed in extreme embarrassment and anger. Her petite body that was just like an 11 or 12 years old girl somehow found the strength to do so. Suddenly, a strange purplish-black light shone around her body. With a violent tremble, it formed a boundless force that directly sent Ning Fan flying into the sky and out of the heavenly pit. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold. Others might not be able to sense what that purplish-black light was, but he could. That purplish-black light was the demonic power of the Fu Li clan. However, when the little girl used it, it was exactly the same as magic power. There was no difference at all. The chi of the Fu Li clan could not be sensed at all. This girl really has a great affinity with my Fu Li clan. As he thought of this, after flying out of the heavenly pit, he immediately stopped his ascension and stood in the sky. Without saying a word, he completely suppressed the power of the ancestral blood of the Fu Li clan in his body to prevent it from sensing the Dao spirit of the heavenly Dao. Ning Fan did not have the intention to recognize the bloodline of the Fu Li clan with this little girl at all. From Ning Fan's point of view, this girl was the disciple of the tribulation controlling immortal emperor. Besides, she possessed the power of the Fu Li clan. God knows if he would attract great trouble after exposing his ancestral blood of the Fu Li clan. After the little girl sent Ning Fan flying, she immediately leaped out of the heavenly pit with a face full of shame and anger. She raised her hand and pointed at Ning Fan. Immediately, a ray of dark golden sword light emitted a terrifying sword whistle. It drew a long black rainbow in the sky. The sword light was elegant and perfect, slashing towards Ning Fan. This sword strike was the little girl's resentful strike, but she only used 30% of her strength. She didn't intend to severely injure Ning Fan, she just wanted to teach him a lesson. With her current early truth-crossing realm cultivation base, unless she had suffered a huge grievance, she would also disdain to make a move against Ning Fan, a cultivator from the lower realm. At this moment, the little lass's mood was not only sullen, but also filled with rage. As she could not stand Ning Fan's continuous breakthroughs and teasing, she begged the imperial monarch for her grace and left her post in the heavenly Tao of the lower world to spend her days in the Four-Fish sect. Who would have thought that they would actually run into this detestable Ning Fan when they were carrying out a mission with the Lightning Division of the Four Profound sect? This damned ill-fated relationship. Not only did they encounter each other, he even openly took advantage of her. Not only did he take advantage of me, he actually continued to twist his body and poke, 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 sort of life and death. The little lass glared at Ning Fan like a resentful woman. With a curl of her finger, the black gold treasure sword that had 30% of its power flashed and directly slashed 3 inches away from Ning Fan's forehead. A sharp cold chi spread out from the edge of the sword. Even Ning Fan's eyes flickered. Even though he was shocked, the sword was not strong enough to hurt him. Moreover, it had only unleashed 30% of its power. Ning Fan's body swayed, turning into an afterimage and reappearing 1,000 zhang away. The sword light immediately turned around and slashed at him again. Ning Fan raised his hand and grabbed at the sword light. He clenched his fist tightly. In an instant, the black gold treasure sword immediately trembled and flew back to the little lass's direction. This time, the little lass did not continue to attack Ning Fan. She subconsciously caught the black gold treasure sword that flew back to her. She stared at Ning Fan in disbelief with her eyes and mouth wide open. Her spirit seemed to have suffered a great impact. It's not a void fragmentation realm. It's a profound ghost realm. Mid-profound ghost realm. It has only been 100 years since I left my identity as the Tao spirit of the heavenly Tao of the lower world, and he has actually grown to such a level from a void fragmentation realm cultivator. Ning Fan looked at the little lass with amusement. He did not feel displeased because of that sword attack. On the contrary, he felt extremely good. When he saw the little lass, he felt like he had met an old friend in a foreign land. After all, from Ning Fan's point of view, even though he had some friction with her in the beginning, they had turned from enemies to friends in the end. Moreover, she had even given him gifts many times, even though those gifts gradually became strange and bizarre. Someone's spirit sense is coming. Ning Fan suddenly moved and appeared in front of the little lass. With a flick of his sleeve, circles of black flames immediately appeared beneath their feet. In an instant, the two of them disappeared from where they stood, leaving behind an inexplicable heavenly pit. It was a quiet and secluded forest with thin spiritual chi. It was far away from the cultivation city. Normally, no cultivators would come to this place except for the little lass who was leisurely munching on the 8 treasures cake. Normally, there would not be any powerful true immortals who would spread their spirit sense to investigate this place unless something like the following happened. Ning Fan crashed into the heavenly eye star with a terrifying traveling light. It was similar to a battle between true immortals taking place in this place. Not long after Ning Fan and the little lass left this place, 10 traces of the true divine sense and 1 trace of the sky-rending spirit sense scanned the heavenly pit. When they discovered that there was only a huge pit left in this place and the cultivator who used the traveling light was nowhere to be seen, all the old monsters felt that it was a pity. They were the cultivators of the heavenly eye star. Originally, they wanted to investigate carefully to find out who was the one who used the traveling light. Unfortunately, Ning Fan left too quickly and they had no chance to meet each other. Above a huge swamp that was millions of li away, Ning Fan and the little lass appeared at the same time. A certain silly girl only regained her senses at this moment and realized that she had been abducted to another place. Your alertness is really bad. You are still in a daze when I am already so close to you. Are you really the disciple of a dignified immortal emperor and the former heavenly Tao of the lower world? Ning Fan looked at the little lass with a faint smile. Humph. My alertness has always been very good. The little lass glared at Ning Fan with dissatisfaction. There were still some crumbs of the 8 treasures cake on her lips that she had yet to wipe off. Usually, her alertness was extremely good. Even a fly would not be able to fly to her side. It seemed like this was the only time when she was beside Ning Fan that she lost her composure and let her guard down. Ning Fan seemed to be very special. As for the reason, I don't know. She believed that she hated Ning Fan. That was what she believed. Suddenly, the little lass recalled that she was fighting with Ning Fan just now. Without saying anything, she grabbed her black gold treasure sword and was about to slash Ning Fan again. "Thief, watch out for my sword." Thief. Ning Fan looked at the little lass speechlessly. From a certain point of view, he was indeed a thief. However, he really did not do anything to this little lass, right? What could a little girl who was only 11 or 12 years old do? Ning Fan gently raised 2 of his fingers and caught the sword light. He smiled helplessly. "Just now, I used up too much magic power to fly away. It has almost reached the limit of my current magic power. At this moment, it is very difficult for me to use too much magic power to fight. However, if you really want to spar with me, I will naturally accompany you to the end considering our past friendship." Past friendship? Who has a friendship with you? The little girl of the heavenly Tao was at a loss for words. Suddenly, she recalled something and said to Ning Fan, "By the way, why can you use the piercing golden light?" Piercing golden light? Are you referring to the golden escaping rainbow that I used just now? When she mentioned the escaping rainbow, Ning Fan's eyes immediately turned solemn. Just now, he was wholeheartedly using the Black Devil escape technique. Unknowingly, he used that golden escaping rainbow. The speed of that golden escaping rainbow was really terrifying. It flew across the distance of a high-grade star region in an instant. Of course, that golden escaping rainbow also consumed a terrifying amount of magic power. Moreover, it seemed like it would cause the divine, demon, and devil bloodlines to boil. So, that escaping technique is called the piercing golden light? You don't know about the piercing golden light and you just used it? The little lass looked at Ning Fan as if she was looking at a monster. However, she did not say anything else. "You know the piercing golden light very well. Can you give me some information about this technique?" Ning Fan asked. The piercing golden light is a lost ability from the ancient times. Very few people know about it. Every word about it is worth 1,000 gold. I'm not related to you at all. Why should I tell you? Humph. The little lass let out a proud harumph and turned around to leave. She did not want to stay here for a second longer. Ning Fan was stunned. Even though he was intelligent, he could not understand why the little lass who had always been friendly to him would give him a cold look this time. She even seemed a little annoyed. After taking a few steps, she suddenly thought of something. She turned around and said to Ning Fan angrily, "All right, compensate me for my 8 treasures cake. You crushed my 8 treasures cake. I can't even eat it now." 8 treasures cake? Ning Fan was slightly stunned. He vaguely remembered that when he fell from the sky just now, he did crush a piece of cake. "Compensate me for my 8 treasures cake. If you don't compensate me, I will fight you to the death." The little lass waved her black gold treasure sword a few times to demonstrate her power. Ning Fan shook his head with a smile and asked, "How do you want to compensate me?" "Tao Crystal. Use Tao Crystal to compensate me. The 8 treasures cake is made from 8 types of precious spiritual herbs. There's a 500,000 years old heavenly Tao ginseng, a 450,000 years old purple grade Ganoderma, and a 620,000 years old 9 twists spiritual root. Other than that, there's also..." The little lass mumbled a bunch of things. At the end of her speech, she looked at Ning Fan with a pained expression and stretched out 4 fingers. "Compensate me with this amount of Tao Crystal. From today onwards, we don't owe each other anything." What she meant was for Ning Fan to compensate her with 40 million Tao Crystal. After all, the raw materials of the 8 treasures cake only added up to 10 million Tao Crystal. 40 million Tao Crystal was not a small amount. Ning Fan, however, misunderstood the little lass's expectation. After thinking for a while, he took out a storage pouch and passed it to her helplessly. Your 8 treasures cake was indeed destroyed by me. It's only right for me to compensate you with some Tao crystal. Humph. It's only right and proper to repay a debt. Tis so many. The little lass stared at the storage pouch in disbelief. There were more than 400 million Tao crystal in it. 10 times. Ning Fan actually compensated her with 10 times the amount of Tao crystal. What is a tycoon? This is it. Did I give too much? Ning Fan asked with slight surprise. Not much. Not much. The little lass pretended to be serious. However, there was a cute and gentle smile hidden in the corner of her eyes. It was as if there was a crystal light flashing in her eyes. 400 million Tao crystal. Ning Fan actually gave her 400 million Tao crystals so casually. Her little heart was beating rapidly. Her little hands could not help but tremble. The way she looked at Ning Fan also made her favorable impression on him soar. In the past, she disliked Ning Fan, but now, she felt that he was really pleasing to the eye. As the disciple of an immortal emperor and a true immortal Dujin, she actually did not lack money. However, she was a money grubber. She was a miser. The reason why she wanted money was not to spend it. She would feel satisfied just by occupying and admiring the piles of Tao crystal. Because of this, she was often called a little idiot by others. As a cultivator, if she did not use her wealth, what else could she be if she was not an idiot? The reason why she was afraid of the little demoness like a tiger was because the little demoness had once tricked her into making a bet and swindled all of her Tao crystal. Moreover, she still owed the little demoness a few billion Tao crystal in name. Therefore, every time she saw the little demoness, she would avoid her as if she was avoiding a snake or a scorpion. There was no other way. She had to avoid her debt, didn't she? However, she was an extremely principled person. She would never betray her principles for money. At least, that was what she thought. Ning Fan felt a little puzzled. He could not understand why the little girl's attitude towards him changed from cold to warm. The little girl suddenly looked at Ning Fan fervently and said bashfully and shamelessly, Ning Fan, no. Fellow Taoist Ning, do you still remember the half piece of 8 treasures cake that I gave you before? You haven't paid for that half piece. You still owe me 200 million. I also need to pay for that half piece? Fine. 200 million it is. To Ning Fan, who had 910 billion Tao crystal, a few 100 million Tao crystal was really not worth mentioning. With a wave of his hand, he took out a storage pouch filled with Tao crystal and passed it to the little girl. The little girl received the storage pouch and had a look. She almost fainted from happiness. Just by moving her mouth, she managed to swindle 600 million Tao crystal from Ning Fan. What else in the world could be happier than earning money? She was indeed happy. However, when she saw Ning Fan's innocent and harmless smile, she felt very guilty. She felt like a wretched elder sister who tricked a child into eating haws. One had to know that she had never swindled anyone's money before. Ning Fan was the first one who willingly took the bait. She felt a little guilty. She did not dare to look Ning Fan in the eyes anymore. After thinking for a while, she kept the black gold treasure sword and took out a jade slip. She recorded all the information she knew about the golden light on the ground into the slip and gave it to Ning Fan. This is the jade slip about the golden light on the ground. I didn't give you this jade slip because I'm guilty or because I felt guilty. It's also not because I cheated you of your money. I still have something to do. I'll take my leave first. She shoved the jade slip into Ning Fan's hands and almost ran away in panic. Ning Fan was stunned. Suddenly, he seemed to have understood something. He smiled faintly and looked at the back of the little girl meaningfully. So you're a little money grubber? It's just that you're too kind and muddle-headed. If you don't tell me, how would I know that you're feeling guilty because you cheated me of my money? He was not in a hurry to look at the jade slip in his hand. Instead, he calmly took out a storage pouch which contained about 100 million Tao crystal. He looked at the back of the little girl who was running away and said with a harmless smile, I don't think I can take your jade slip for free. How about I give you 100 million Tao crystal? 100 million. So much. The information I know about the golden light on the ground is just a little bit. It's far from worth this price. The little girl who originally wanted to run away stopped abruptly on the spot. Her face was flushed and her heart was racing. Her rationality told her that she should stay away from Ning Fan. The further the better. However, Ning Fan wanted to give her 100 million Dao crystal. Since he had given it to her, how could she not take it? That would be such a waste. Besides, from the bottom of her heart, she did not seem to hate Ning Fan as much as she imagined. Not only did she not hate him, but when she was hit by Ning Fan, she actually felt secretly delighted. That feeling was so deeply hidden that even she herself did not notice it. The reason why I came to the Heavenly Eye Star is to use the Divine Weapon Lake to recuperate something. However, I've just arrived here and I'm not familiar with this place. How about this? You can be my guide and accompany me to the Divine Weapon Lake. In return, I'll pay you 1 billion Dao crystal as a commission. What do you think? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a faint smile. It was not that he was unfamiliar with the Heavenly Eye Star. He just wanted to get close to the little girl and find out about the secrets about Fu Li. He was not afraid of people being greedy. What he was most afraid of was people not having a weakness. If there was a weakness, he could slowly take advantage of it. As for this little girl, even though she was a little greedy, she was not a bad person. From Ning Fan's point of view, this little girl was just a little money grubber. Moreover, she was a little naive and muddle-headed. As long as he used some tricks and Dao crystal, he would most likely be able to get some useful information from her. Information related to Fu Li. What? If I accompany you to the Divine Weapon Lake, I'll be able to get 1 billion Dao crystal. The little girl was about to faint from the happiness that came one after another. She originally wanted to go to the Divine Weapon Lake. However, she was just going to travel with Ning Fan and be his guide. She could get the Dao crystal for free. It was such a great profit. However, before I go to the Divine Weapon Lake, I still want to take a stroll around the largest trading city on the Heavenly Eye Star. You don't mind bringing me there, do you? Ning Fan asked with a smile. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. The little girl puffed up her chest and said confidently. Oh yeah, I remember that your name is Xing Sheng, right? Ning Fan changed the topic and asked. No, Xing Xing is just my code name when I was the Dao spirit of the Heavenly Dao. I was originally nameless, but the Imperial Monarch gave me a name. It's called Li Xiao Xiao. The word Li means Li, and the word Xiao means Xiao. The little girl answered almost all of his questions. She collected the crystals very quickly. Naturally, her service was very good. Li Xiao Xiao. Could the word Li refer to Fu Li? Ning Fan pondered. A moment later, Ning Fan took out another 1 billion Dao crystals and gave them to Li Xiao Xiao together with the 100 million he had just received. Li Xiao Xiao kept the Dao crystals and grinned from ear to ear in happiness. All of a sudden, her body shook and she turned into a beautiful winged demon that was half black and half white. She raised her beak and spread her wings, landing in front of Ning Fan and said, Come on. I can fly very fast after I transform. I will bring you to the largest trading city on the Heavenly Eye Star. The winged demon said enthusiastically. Is there a riding service? Just because I gave you the Dao crystals? Ning Fan asked with a strange look. How can you say that? I have never carried anyone before. Even the Imperial Monarch doesn't allow me to sit on my back. Who else has the honor of sitting on my back like you? So what if you have some stinky money? If you don't want to ride me, I don't want to let you sit on my back either. As she was speaking, the winged demon's body flashed with light and she was about to return to her human form. Ning Fan smiled and approached her. He patted her feathers and said apologetically, I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan leaped onto her back and sat cross-legged on her neck. Then, he began to read the information jade slip about the golden light that pierced through the ground. After Ning Fan apologized to her, the winged demon felt a little uncomfortable. She hesitated and did not know what to say. In the end, she just said, Sit properly, in a weak voice and carried Ning Fan high up into the sky. They flew towards the largest trading city on the Heavenly Eye Star, Gazing Cloud City. Li Xiaoxiao had an early true crossing realm cultivation base. After transforming into her demon form, her flying speed became even faster. She was even faster than ordinary mid-true crossing realm cultivators. Ning Fan riding on such an eye-catching mount naturally attracted the attention of many people. When he arrived at the Gazing Cloud City, almost all the cultivators in the city raised their necks and looked at the shocking scene in the sky. Many cultivators even exclaimed in Ning Fan's direction, "Who is that? He doesn't look like old monster Shikong. Why does he have a true crossing realm demonic beast as his mount? Could it be that he's a disciple of some Shikong old monster?" Chapter 805. Piercing Golden Light is an ancient lost divine ability. Those who practice this technique will ignite the Samadhi Dao fire and walk like the 9 passing golden rainbows. They will reside in the heaven and earth and travel across 10,000 realms, leaving no trace of them. There is no cultivation method for this technique. There are very few people who know about this technique. According to the imperial monarch, this technique can only be comprehended and cultivated by individuals. It can't be taught orally. The key to mastering this technique lies in the 8 words body igniting samadhi, walk like the 9 passing. Within 4 days, there are less than 10 people who have comprehended this technique, and the imperial monarch is one of them. Ning Fan sat on the winged demon and looked at the jade slip in his hand. His eyes were deep and unpredictable. All the exclamations in the cloud-gazing city below did not attract his attention. At this moment, his mood was extremely complicated. He had never thought that the piercing golden light that he had accidentally displayed was actually such a rare and peerless divine ability. Across the 4 heavens, there were less than 10 people who had learned this technique, and the immortal Emperor Zhang Jie was one of them. There were even fewer people who knew about this technique. Perhaps no one would be able to recognize this great divine ability even if he traveled all the way to the heavenly eye star. As for the cultivation of this technique, there was no other way but to comprehend it on one's own. The key to mastering it was body igniting samadhi, walk like the 9 passing, body igniting samadhi. Does it mean that the divine, demon and devil bloodlines in my body are boiling and the surface of my body is burning with golden flames? As for walk like the 9 passing, what does it mean? Ning Fan shook his head and sighed softly. He had just studied the Black Devil escape technique because of the great increase in his comprehension ability. He did not expect that he would accidentally display the piercing golden light. It was a coincidence. Perhaps, it was also the inevitable result of comprehending the unity of heaven and man. In terms of speed, the piercing golden light was definitely faster than the Black Devil escape technique and the ground shrinking technique. However, he had no idea how to cultivate it. However, it would be extremely difficult for him to use the piercing golden light again. At this moment, Ning Fan did not know how to display the piercing golden light technique again. However, it was not enough to dispel Ning Fan's determination to cultivate the earth-piercing golden light. It should be said that it was impossible for him to give up cultivating this technique since the first time he experienced that kind of earth-shattering speed. I was only able to unleash the piercing golden light by accident, but even so, the technique's speed is comparable to that of an ancient cultivator. If I can really master this technique, it will definitely be a great trump card for me to escape. However, the cultivation of this technique cannot be rushed. The most important thing is comprehension. In this aspect, it is far inferior to the Black Demon escape. Not only do I need to comprehend the vertical golden light, I also need to perfect the west wind technique. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. The reason why he came to Gazing Cloud City was to buy some spiritual herbs to refine pills in order to perfect the west wind technique. Not only that, he had also come here to look for the pill formula for the fantasy pill and to purchase all the information jade slips related to the union of heaven and man. As for repairing the puppet, that would be after this trip. There was no slaughter pavilion in the Eastern Sea Star region and its surrounding star regions. Otherwise, Ning Fan could just purchase information from the slaughter pavilion. There was a pavilion in every mid-grade and above cultivation planet in the Eastern Sea Star region that sold all kinds of heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures. It was called the Commercial Pavilion. The 4 pavilions of the godly Void Star region were divided into the Sect Pavilion, the Punishment Pavilion, the Military Pavilion, and the Commercial Pavilion according to their authority. The disciples of the Sect Pavilion were only responsible for cultivation. At the same time, they would also carry out various confidential tasks of the godly Void Pavilion. The Punishment Pavilion was in charge of rewards and punishment, appointment and dismissal of many other matters. It was the pavilion with the most elders among the 4 pavilions. The Military Pavilion was in charge of the battle. Most of the experts who were responsible for intercepting Sun Luo at the outer perimeter of the Eastern Sea region were from the Military Pavilion. Only a few of them were summoned by the Star Lords of the various cultivation planets. Therefore, after this battle, the Military Pavilion would be the pavilion whose strength was the most weakened among the 4 pavilions. The Commercial Pavilion only had one responsibility, and that was to earn Tao crystals for the 4 pavilions of the godly Void Star region to purchase all kinds of cultivation methods and pills for the disciples of the 4 pavilions to cultivate. Li Xiaoxiao, who had transformed into a winged demon, carried Ning Fan all the way to the Commercial Pavilion of Gazing Cloud City. There were more than 10,000 cultivation shops in Gazing Cloud City. However, even if all the items in the shops were added together, it might not even be 1% of the value of the Commercial Pavilion. This Commercial Pavilion was specially opened for second-step cultivators. As for first-step cultivators, they could purchase the items they need in Gazing Cloud City. Ning Fan naturally knew about the information of the 4 pavilions of the godly Void Star region. He sat on the winged demon's back and looked down through the layers of clouds. He saw a massive pavilion built at the center of Gazing Cloud City. The interior of the pavilion had its own space while the exterior of the pavilion was filled with purple smoke. The moment he saw the purple smoke, Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. If he was not mistaken, the purple smoke should be an extremely profound defensive formation. When they arrived at this place, Li Xiaoxiao withdrew her wings and turned back into her human form. She followed Ning Fan and descended to the ground. Then, she said to Ning Fan with a smile. Ning Fan, no. Fellow Taoist Ning, we've arrived at the Commercial Pavilion. You should go in and buy some items. I'll be waiting for you outside. Waiting for me? Aren't you going in with me? Ning Fan asked. Then, his gaze swept across the entrance of the Commercial Pavilion. He saw 2 door gods standing proudly outside the pavilion. Each of them was 10 zhang tall. These 2 door gods were puppets made of bronze. Their cultivation bases were at the 4th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Every time someone enters the Commercial Pavilion, the 2 door gods would collect a certain amount of Tao crystals from that person as the fee to enter the pavilion. The fee was not high. It was just 1 million Tao crystals per person. To second-step cultivators, it was naturally not a huge sum of money. However, to a miser like Li Xiaoxiao, 1 million Tao crystals might not necessarily be a small amount of money. Perhaps, it would make a certain someone so distressed that he would have a sleepless night. Could it be that this little girl doesn't want to accompany me in because she can't bear to part with the entrance fee of 1 million Tao crystals? Ning Fan shook his head with a smile. He did not expose Li Xiaoxiao's thoughts and just left her waiting outside. After paying the fee, he entered the Commercial Pavilion on his own. Just as he was about to step into the pavilion, the little girl suddenly called out to Ning Fan and said with a bashful smile. Fellow Taoist Ning, no. Big brother Ning, since you're going in anyway, you won't mind buying something for me along the way, right? The little girl blinked her long eyelashes and suddenly opened her mouth to beg. Buy something along the way? What is it? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Lava core 1 to... No, 2 tails. Low-grade lava core will do. Mid-grade lava core is too expensive. The price of a high-grade lava core is simply killing people. Wait, I think I should get a mid-grade lava core. No. I think I should get a high-grade one. Although I can use the power of the divine weapon lake to repair it, what if I can't repair it properly? The little girl grumbled to herself as she struggled with her thoughts. The artifact spirit of this woman's magic treasure is damaged? You need a lava core to repair it? Is it a very important magical treasure? Ning Fan's eyes flickered. As far as he knew, the lava heart was a type of spiritual item in the form of dust. It had the effect of perfectly repairing the spirit of a fire element magical treasure. Generally speaking, this item was divided into 3 grades: high, medium, and low. Of course, there were also top-grade ones, but they were too rare, appearing only once every 100 years. The lava core was sold at a price of 2, and it was extremely expensive. Even a low-grade lava core could only be bought with 1 or 200 million Dao crystals. As for high-grade lava cores, they could probably be sold for billions of Dao crystals. As for the legendary top-grade lava core, if it really exists, it would probably fetch a sky-high price. If it wasn't for the sake of repairing an extremely important magical treasure, this little girl who was stingy with 1 million Dao crystals would definitely not be willing to buy 2 taels of high-grade lava core. Here, this is 10 billion Dao crystals. It's a total of 10 billion Dao crystals. I have counted it 3 times. Take it and buy 2 taels of high-grade lava core for me. I will refund you if you overpay and make up for the deficiency. Do you understand? The little girl did not know where she got her trust from. She passed the storage pouch that contained 10 billion Dao crystals to Ning Fan. She stared at the storage pouch with a pained expression. These 10 billion Dao crystals were almost all of her wealth. During her boring days in the lower world, she had spent more than 500 years counting 200,000 Dao crystals every day. She counted the 10 billion Dao crystals 3 times. Ordinary people would never be able to understand how deeply Xiao Zhao's feelings for these Dao crystals were. Ordinary people would never have the same perseverance as Li Xiao. She counted the Dao crystals day and night for 500 years. This Li Xiao is indeed a strange person. However, in terms of perseverance, I'm afraid there are only a few people in this world who can be compared to her. She has been doing the same thing for 500 years without any regrets and never forgetting her original intention. Is this also a kind of stubbornness? Ning Fan pondered and kept Li Xiao's storage pouch. Under the latter's distressed gaze, he stepped into the merchant pavilion. The interior of the merchant pavilion had 3 floors. The area of the first floor was almost 10 times the size of Wangyun City. It was filled with all kinds of cultivation shops. On the first floor, there were no cultivators in the merchant pavilion to receive customers. The shopkeepers of each shop and the guards patrolling the streets were all puppets. On the empty first floor, there were only 100 or so life immortal realm cultivators shopping. Some of them were cultivators from the eastern extremity continent while others were cultivators from other star regions. The life immortal realm cultivators who came here to shop would rarely chat with each other unless they were familiar with each other. Ning Fan walked past countless shops along the way and met many life immortal realm cultivators. He purposely emitted the chi of a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator to not attract too much attention. It was not strange for him to meet fellow life immortal realm cultivators in this merchant pavilion. On the other hand, if he purposely concealed his ghost profound realm cultivation base, it would only arouse fear, attention, and suspicion from others. Ning Fan did not want to attract too much attention in this place and cause any trouble. Based on his senses, there were at least 3 Shikong Shi who were guarding this heavenly eye star. The reason why he came here was to repair his spiritual puppets. If he causes any trouble, it would not be good for him. Ning Fan stayed on the first floor for about 2 hours and bought all the spiritual herbs he needed. The reason he bought these spiritual herbs was to concoct a 7th revolution pill called Zhuiyang pill. As for the Zhuiyang pill, it was to perfect his west wind technique. Other than the medicinal herbs for the Zhuiyang pill, he also bought all the information about the unity of heaven and man on the first floor and some information jade slips about the bell sacrifice of the godly void pavilion. After reading the information, Ning Fan's expression kept changing. He stood on the spot and pondered for a long time. Then he left the first floor and used the teleportation formation to reach the 2nd floor of the merchant pavilion. There were only 30 or so cultivation shops scattered on the 2nd floor of the merchant pavilion. It was not very big. Every shop on this floor was served by a void fragmentation realm cultivator. Only a small number of life immortal realm cultivators would come to this floor to shop. Most of them were early or mid-true crossing realm cultivators. There were 20 or so customers on this floor. When Ning Fan arrived, he did not attract much attention. On the second floor, he even bought the pill recipe for the illusion life pill as he wished. With the pill recipe in hand, he quietly returned to the first floor and bought all the medicinal herbs required for the pill recipe. In this way, he could use the illusory devil dust to concoct an illusion life pill. After buying all the medicinal herbs required for the illusion life pill, Ning Fan's purpose of coming to this merchant pavilion had been achieved. However, he did not leave because a certain money-grubbing little girl had asked him to buy 2 tails of lava core. With the value of the lava core, they naturally would not be sold on the first floor. Ning Fan returned to the second floor. However, he did not see any lava core being sold on the second floor. Thus, he went to the teleportation formation of the second floor and asked a void fragmentation realm receptionist. There doesn't seem to be any lava core being sold on the second floor. Is this item being sold on the third floor? Or does this item not exist in this merchant pavilion? As soon as he heard Ning Fan's question, the void fragmentation realm receptionist immediately revealed a shocked expression and asked, "Senior, could it be that you are also here to fight for the 2 tails of lava core?" After the void fragmentation realm receptionist asked the question, he studied Ning Fan repeatedly. After a while, he gritted his teeth and advised with good intentions. "Forgive me for being straightforward. It's better for Senior not to participate in the fight for this item. On the third floor, there are a few Senior Duzhen who are fighting for this item. Moreover, all of them are the tomb guardians of this tomb competition." Even though the void fragmentation realm receptionist's cultivation base was not high, he had seen many mid-ghost profound realm old monsters after working in the merchant pavilion for a long time. As Ning Fan deliberately released his chi, he could vaguely tell that Ning Fan's cultivation base was at the mid-ghost profound realm. As far as he knew, there were a few senior Duzhen fighting for the lava core on the third floor of the merchant pavilion. Those senior Duzhen were the tomb guardians chosen by the major forces in the Eastern Sea Star region. Their cultivation base was high and their background was even more impressive. The void fragmentation realm receptionist thought that Ning Fan was also here to fight for the lava core. He was afraid that Ning Fan would be at a disadvantage. That was why he advised Ning Fan with kind words. After all, he did not think that Ning Fan, who was at the life immortal realm, would make a wise move by competing for treasures with many true immortals. Lava core of supreme grade? Tomb guardians? Ning Fan's eyes flickered and he fell into deep thought. He knew what a tomb guardian was. He also knew that the void fragmentation realm receptionist probably misunderstood something. He shook his head slightly and said politely to the receptionist, "Thank you for your reminder. However, you don't have to worry. I just want to buy a high-grade lava core. I have no intention of fighting for the lava core of supreme grade with anyone." Just as Ning Fan's words fell, a sarcastic and harsh voice of a woman suddenly came from the teleportation formation. "Oh, you're just a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator. You sure have a big tone. From what you said, it seems like you just don't want to fight for the lava core of supreme grade and not because you can't get it." "Even I don't have any confidence that I can get it." The one who spoke was a lady in purple robes who had just come to the second floor from the first floor. She had a graceful figure and a beautiful appearance. However, her eyes were too arrogant. The way she looked at Ning Fan was also filled with the arrogance that was cultivated from living a comfortable life since young. This lady in purple robes had a peak ghost profound realm cultivation base. Behind her, there were a few mortal profound realm maids. As soon as the lady finished speaking, she led the group of maids towards the teleportation formation of the third floor. She did not pay much attention to Ning Fan. Ning Fan frowned, but he did not care about the lady's unkind words. On the other hand, there were many old monsters on the second floor. When they saw the lady in purple robes, they revealed thoughtful expressions. Some of them even whispered, "Is it the young lord of the Luo clan? Is she also here to fight for the lava core?" This lady's cultivation base might not be as good as Dujin's, but she has the Luo clan behind her. The Luo clan that they were talking about was naturally the Battle King Luo clan. Ning Fan's expression changed slightly. He took a few more glances at the back of the lady in purple robes and fell into deep thought. He had already heard about the name of the young lord of the Luo clan from Luo Xiao. She was one of the 8 tomb guardians of the Luo clan this time. Moreover, she was the one with the highest cultivation base among them, the young lord of the Luo clan, Luo Xian. If I want to obtain the position of tomb guardian of the Luo clan, not only do I need to get the approval of the clan leader of the Luo clan, I also need to get the approval of this lady, the divine tomb. Tomb competition? Tomb guardian? This is one of the reasons why I joined the Luo clan as a foreign elder. The war god transformation is just one of them. Ning Fan scanned his storage pouch with his spirit sense and looked at the void token inside. Then he let out a sigh. If I only have the void token and don't have the identity of a tomb guardian, it would still be impossible for me to enter the bottom floor of the divine tomb. This was the information he obtained after coming to the Spirit Platform Star. The reason why he requested to become the Spirit Platform Star Lord was also to prepare for the position of Tomb Guardian. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.